Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome to the Vegas Take. It is Monday. So glad you could join us, Sharp and Shapiro. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I know I did. We got plenty to talk about. Chris Wynn in studio on a Monday.
What's going on?
And like I said, we got a lot to go over, a lot to get to, especially with this impeachment inquiry. Hour number 2, Michael Avenatti will be joining us to break everything down that is Donald Trump. That'll be hour number 2. Hour number 3, we're going to catch up on the Canelo fight over the weekend with Showtime Shawn Porter, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers on the planet. He's going to be joining us in studio in hour number 3. Gentlemen, how was your weekend? That's what I want to know. What did you guys do this weekend?
You know I did the C-Win thing. You know, I got to catch a little sporting event action, maybe, catch up on my Walking Dead. It's pretty much, laid back,
really exciting.
leisure.
Yeah.
I had a chance to go by. We had a chance, myself and Brian Shapiro, we had a chance to go by our buddy and friend of the show, Steve Sears' house for a little
You're skipping
get-together.
around, man. You're skipping around. I was going to get there. You're skipping around.
And, well, not skipping around. We're just kind of laying it out there and getting a chance for you to kind of set it up. That's how we work it on a Monday morning.
It's like T-ball.
JD went to Bed Bath & Beyond. Anything else besides that over the weekend?
All I know is I'm sitting next to the only guy in the state of Nevada that owns a Javid Best jersey.
Yes, I do.
I know that for a fact, and that feels pretty good.
It was a short run, JD, but it was fun to watch.
I wagered sports all weekend long, watched my kid a couple of times as well.
That sounds exciting.
I made a huge bet on the Ravens last night and won it, and I feel really good about that as well. So I'm just feeling good.
So
I came in 2 weekends ago, and I had a really bad weekend 2 weeks ago. This is the exact opposite right now.
God, you guys are so boring.
That's fine.
I was hoping you guys had some stories about some hookers or
hookers.
some blow.
No hookers, no blow.
You got Chris Wynn talking about going to some party with me, and then you got JD talking about placing bets on his phone while babysitting his kid. Wow, what an exciting weekend.
But wait a second. You're talking about us being boring. What about this guy over here, right? This guy's supposed to be getting in on the activities with us over the weekend, sir.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
And I'm just teasing with you guys. You know I am. But so I took off Thursday night, Halloween night. Me and Stein, our producer here, we went to see Marilyn Manson. First of all, let me just start out. It was kind of like a double date. Let me just start out by saying this. Marilyn Manson is not only fat now, he sucks. I mean, his show was terrible. And these were not cheap tickets, by the way. And I don't usually pay to see shows because I'm so special and important. I paid for this one, okay? It was awful. He is bloated. He looks terrible. I mean, his pants fell down in the middle of the show. Whether he did it on purpose or not, I don't know. One of his assistants had to come on stage and pull his pants back up for him. I'm like, what happened to this guy? Bloated and disgusting and not a lot of energy on stage.
And for our viewers on Twitter, I'm about to post a picture of what Brian Shapiro looks like right now, and he's kind of being a hypocrite. So continue, Brian.
So you're comparing me to Marilyn Manson? Is that what you're doing? Why? Because I'm wearing sunglasses in the studio? No, I'm curious. I mean, we're both Jews. I know that. Marilyn's a Jew, but how else can you compare me to Marilyn Manson?
I think he's referring to the bloated
Satan?
part.
I'm referring to the bloated part. I am.
Well,
And also funny, it was funny, Brian, because on Friday, both J&D and I discussed Marilyn Manson, right, and his and relevancy and how, is he still a big star?
Yeah.
And I had to get into it with J.D. I'm like, look, I think Marilyn Manson is just washed up.
Well,
He's not really a star anymore.
I think his genre is washed up, but he is still one of the biggest names in his particular genre, no matter how old he is.
He is, but you know what? You're not going to the show and you're not going to get anything edgy. You're not going to get anything groundbreaking. Those days are over. This is a guy who, like Brian said, he's 50 years old. He's made his money. He's going through the motions. He played the hits. And what do you say? Happy Halloween, Vegas.
And that's it. He just walked off stage.
Happy Halloween.
That's kind of like how the end of Stein's date went Thursday night, but we won't get into that because he doesn't want to talk about that.
Details.
No.
Do tell.
We're not going to talk about that. He doesn't want to, but I had to make a joke. No, but he's right, though. Marilyn Manson, the show was terrible. It was an awful show. So anyway, fun weekend, though. Went to the Canelo fight, and we're going to get more into it with Shawn Porter, but certainly a controversy, at least in the boxing world, whereas you had the big Nate Diaz fight, the UFC fight, around the same time as the Canelo fight. So the Canelo fight against Kovalev was at MGM Grand. I was there at the fight, and because of the streaming service that was on, that was broadcasting the fight in this stream. I've never even heard of them before. It's called DAZN, D-A-Z-N. They confirmed that they wanted to make the fighters wait, make everyone in MGM Grand wait until the end of the main card, the Diaz UFC fight, which was taking place in New York. So not only did the fighters have to wait 90 minutes, the fans in the MGM were watching a telecast of the UFC fights while everybody was waiting. I've never seen anything like that before, where you have arguably one of the biggest boxing fights of the year, and it waits and it gets put on hold for another sporting event, in this situation, the UFC fight. A lot of people were very angry about this, and we're going to get more into this with Shawn Porter coming up later on in the show. He's going to join us in the studio because I think this is an embarrassment to boxing. It's an embarrassment that this was even allowed to happen. It was a horrible decision by DAZN, and I was just really surprised by it. So we're definitely going to get more into the weeds on this one and talk about this, why this streaming company decided to do it. What does it mean for boxing? Is it setting a precedence? Are we going to see more of this happening? I think it's buffoonery at its finest. We're going to talk more about it a little bit later on in the show. However, JD, walking in today, and he said we should lead and talk a little bit about the fact that 75,000 jobs were created by Donald Trump. And I said, well, there's a lot of things we could talk about when it comes to Donald Trump, and we will in hour number 2 with Michael Avenatti. However, Donald Trump did attend this UFC fight, and I want to play you a little bit of audio. This is President Donald Trump getting booed, as he usually does when he attends these types of events, when they're not paying people to show up at one of his events, or it's not one of his rallies where he has a bunch of diehard Trump supporters. So this is Donald Trump as he's entering the UFC event in New York City at Madison Square Garden. So you get the idea, right? You get the idea of exactly, what was going on as he showed up. Very similar to the World Series. And here's my question to you guys. Did Barack Obama get these type of boos? Did George W. Bush get these type of boos? Even Jimmy Carter, did he get those type of boos? What is the last president we've had that showed up at a big event like the World Series or like a big fight and got that type of booze? Can we recall a president, because I don't, and Don Jr. was there also, who's done nothing in his life, with Kimberly Guilfoyle. Allegedly, he was there with his girlfriend. Yeah. What can you guys recall another politician or other president that was treated like that at an event?
Well, personally, I can't recall that, so I think it is unprecedented. And I think JD's going to point this out, and a lot of Trump supporters will point this out, that Donald Trump just gets a lot of hate, right? I mean, there's just sometimes justified, a lot of time, a few times, in my opinion, not justified. But the point being is that he's someone who he just kind of, he draws this type of reaction. The kind of person that he is. He's someone who is very standoffish at times. He's someone who likes to get into it with people. He's someone who likes to kind of implement divisiveness. He's that kind of guy.
He enjoys the chaos. Yeah, he does.
He in some level, right? Doesn't he?
Yes,
he likes this.
He absolutely does.
He enjoys this.
He likes a fight. He's very competitive.
And so, while it's not surprising to me, it's probably not a great thing that our president and that our commander-in-chief is getting this type of reception. And to answer your question, I would say no, probably, right? Whether it's Barack Obama, whether it was George Bush Senior, or whether it's the two Bushes, whether it was Bill Clinton, whether it was Ronald Reagan, you mentioned Jimmy Carter, obviously, and go all the way back. There is not usually a uniform reception like this in a negative way for the President of the United States.
And keep in mind, this comes on a day where, the Nationals are being invited to the White House, and we are learning that there are members of the team that are not going to be showing up to the White House.
The one thing we're not talking about here is the fact that this was in New York, one of the most democratic cities in the country. The last one was in D.C., one of the most democratic cities in the country. This is not a surprise. And if you actually listen to the UFC, the boo birds were very, very loud. But there was some cheering too. It was kind of it was a mixed bag. It was actually worse at the Nationals game, much worse than this UFC.
I believe that if Donald Trump showed up at a Vegas Golden Knights game, he would get the same type of reception.
He would get destroyed. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
I disagree with that. I don't think that would take place. It would probably be maybe 60-40 boos, cheers, and the boos could be a little louder. It's just a different.
See, JD, here's
it's
the
a
thing.
different thing.
At least half
But if Barack Obama were in a giant event in maybe Tennessee or Alabama 6 years ago, he might get booed as well. It all depends where this event is taking place.
Has Barack Obama ever been booed like that?
Well, no,
he's been in spots like that.
Okay, if Donald Trump, if there was a giant boxing fight in L.A., say Crawford fights Shawn Porter in L.A. at the Staples Center, and Trump attends that, he'll get booed there.
Okay, let's play that audio again.
It's all about, and I heard the audio,
okay,
Brian.
Well, let's hear it again.
And there were some cheers and there were some boos.
Let's hear it again. It's funny, I don't hear a lot of cheers. Lower it a little bit. It's a little too loud. Lower it a little bit. It's even a little bit too loud for me. I don't hear a lot of cheers there, JD.
But guys, let's throw this out there, okay? It's not rocket science we're talking about here. Yes, Donald Trump has a approval rate of what, 40%. So you can make the deduction, right? I'm not a math major. I'm not a guy who's great with the numbers.
You're not.
Okay, but I would say there's probably around 4 people out of 10 in America that are Trump supporters, right? Or people that back Trump. So yes, by the numbers, JD, obviously, if you throw it all into one big bucket, right? You're going to have 4 out of 10 people that support Trump. So there's going to be people that will be cheering. 40% of the people will be cheering, and the rest will not be cheering.
But let's be honest. Had people booed Barack Obama 6 years ago, they would have been labeled a racist. Whether they liked him for whatever reason they disagreed with him or they didn't like him for whatever reason it was, they would have been labeled a racist. So booing Barack Obama 6 years ago was not socially acceptable. Let's be honest about that.
Well, it doesn't matter what
Hold on a second.
what would have happened to them if they would have thought that has been racist.
Hold on a second.
It didn't happen, right?
Barack Obama.
Was there any audio or video?
Can I respond
of Barack
to all this?
Obama where he's getting booed like that?
Barack Obama. All right, let me respond to all this. First of all, Barack Obama, from what I recall, and I'm not an Obama apologist. I didn't even vote for Barack Obama. But last I checked, Barack Obama wasn't involved in an impeachment inquiry. Barack Obama was not attacking people left and right that disagreed with his policy that were attacking him. Barack Obama was not calling the media or Fox News fake news. Barack Obama did not have thin skin, and that is a big reason. And I understand that a lot of people out there who support Donald Trump hate Barack Obama, but the bottom line is Obama might have not done a lot to help race relations in this country, but I wouldn't have called Barack Obama the divider-in-chief. I do call Donald Trump the divider-in-chief, okay? Because if you're not on Donald Trump's side in any way, shape, or form, even if you've known Donald Trump for years, he will turn on you in a heartbeat if you do not kiss his ass. So a good portion of this is Donald Trump's doing. Make no mistake about it. That is certainly my opinion. Now, in regards to the Nationals and in regards to these teams, the Golden State Warriors and all these other teams that have won championships, that have decided not to go to the White House, or many members of the teams that have not gone to the White House.
There's one.
Let me just finish my thought.
One player, Brian.
No, that's not true.
On the Nationals, there's one.
Not true.
No, there'll be way more.
Not true. No, I don't know what you're reading. That's not
Yeah.
true. I have an article right in front of me. It started with a pitcher, and now there's a handful of others that have come forward that are saying they're not going to the White House either. So what you're saying is not true. The point I'm trying to make is I actually disagree with these players. I actually think that if you dislike Donald Trump or you hate Donald Trump, it might be an opportunity to speak with him about some of the things that you disagree with. I actually think it's an opportunity for players like a Steph Curry or whoever it may be. I think it's an honor to be in the White House. Doesn't mean you have to bow down to Donald Trump. So in a way, I disagree, but yet I do understand where they're coming from. Every day that passes, it seems like Donald Trump is, making the situation worse for himself, in my personal opinion. Listen, this has nothing to do with the economy. It has nothing to do with the unemployment numbers. To me, it has everything to do with the shenanigans that are taking place. And, like I said, I don't think he's bringing people together. I think he's dividing people. But I do think it's an opportunity for professional athletes, in this case, the Washington Nationals, to enter the White House. Maybe if you disagree with the president on one issue or a number of issues, maybe it's an opportunity to talk with him about it. Doesn't mean you're going to get away with anything here, but I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
I would disagree with you, Brian. on this line. Okay, look, it's a photo op, right? This is not something where they're sitting down talking about policy, where you're getting the players who disagree with Donald Trump and are going to get a chance to have a forum with him and discuss, whether, whatever the political topic is that they disagree with him on. So this whole notion that, it's an opportunity for you to go to the White House and discuss some type of policy, I think it's nowhere near it. It's a photo op, okay? It's an opportunity for them to, and that's why a lot of them protested, Brian. That's why a lot of players and from all teams. And by the way, we're talking about the Nationals. How many of the Washington Mystics didn't go to the White House, okay, when the Mystics won the championship?
I understand.
So, I mean, let me
quote.
That's the rationale to athletes why they don't want to go there.
Let me quote Nationals reliever Sean Doolittle, and he was the first person to come forward and say that he was not visiting the White House. He said, quote, "People say you should go because it's about respecting the office of the president." And I think over the course of his time in office, he's done a lot of things that maybe don't respect the office. I don't disagree with that statement. But I don't think you're going to the White House to kiss the ass of the president. I think you're going to the White House to be honored, to be able to be in the White House and to kind of have that experience. I think it'd be a pretty cool experience. And I would, as much as I dislike the president, I would still take that opportunity. That's just me.
But Brian, they don't want to be even in a picture with him. They don't even want to be associated with Donald Trump. That is the mentality of the people that are not Donald Trump supporters. Okay, that is the reasoning behind it. You can talk about the respect for the office and all that. And by the way, people would argue that, since Donald Trump has become the president of the United States, it has downgraded what the respect of being president of the United States has done. But the point being is that there's people forget going and experiencing being in the White House like you're talking about. These people don't even want to be in a picture with him. They don't even want to be photographed with him. That's how much, the hatred is towards him and basically, the disagreement on almost every level with Donald Trump.
Listen, we're going to continue this conversation with Michael Avenatti coming up in hour number 2. And in hour number 2, we're also going to take your calls. But quickly, I just want to discuss this because I think it's really important. There are 4 people that were subpoenaed today that are supposed to be questioned. And those people are not coming in to testify. And they're going against a subpoena. And I ask this very simple question. If the president has nothing to hide, and I say the same thing about his tax returns, right? If he has nothing to hide with his tax returns, why aren't they released? If the president has nothing to hide, and if this was such a perfect phone call like he says it was with the president of the Ukraine, then why is it that everyone is defying the orders of these subpoenas? Why is it that the president is instructing everybody to not talk, to not cooperate? And then Republicans are coming forward, and Republicans are complaining about the process when it was Republicans that put this very process into place. And I will also ask this question. Many Republicans are crying wolf and saying, well, how come we're not a part of this? How come we're not a part of this? Why can't we be in there? We want to hear from all the witnesses, blah, 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 blah. It's funny, when there were 9 investigations into the Benghazi situation, 9, all ran by Republicans, they ran it the same way, and you could make the argument even worse. Many Democrats were not allowed into part of the proceedings. Many Democrats were not allowed in. Many Democrats were not allowed any information when it came to those investigations into the Benghazi situation, which, by the way, found no wrongdoing with Hillary Clinton or anybody else, okay? Or at least not criminally.
But 0 indictments, right?
And
zero.
then Democrats were not involved in that situation. They did not allow the Democrats to be involved in those investigations. This is the exact same circumstance. You can't be okay with the 9 Benghazi investigations that went on and then not be okay with this impeachment inquiry with the way this process is going on. They are hypocrites. That is what I am trying to say.
Actually, Brian, it's not the exact same circumstances because Republicans have been have had the ability to be in the hearings. Some Republicans, okay, that have access have purposely not gone.
At least 25%
so that,
of
it's
them,
not
yes.
it's not even the same. I don't know exactly what the circumstances were regarding Benghazi or the email investigations for that matter as far as how much involvement Democrats had. I got to believe that Democrats also back during those hearings also had access to a lot of those meetings as well too. So look, this isn't a situation where Republicans are being kept in the dark. Okay, there are Republicans that have had access. Again, this is another right-wing talking point that has been absolutely debunked and is completely ridiculous.
It is. JD, what do you make of all this?
Is it illegal? Is what they're doing illegal?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay. Well, then what's the question? Are they breaking the law by choosing not to testify?
Well, actually, it's going to be becoming a court issue, right? I believe that judges are going to be making decisions regarding these individuals whether or not they are going to be, I guess, quote unquote, forced to testify, or are going to be legally required to testify.
Until they're legally required to testify, I don't blame them for not turning on their own party.
Why would?
It's not turning on your party, right? You're just giving information regarding.
Well, but assuming it's supposed to be damaging information. Until they are absolutely forced to do that, then they will have to do it. Now, at that point, when they're forced to do that and they choose not to, then I'll have a bigger issue with it. But right now, it's not illegal, Brian, so I don't have a huge issue with it.
But since when is it turning on your party?
I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. Well, again, this is the whole entire thing is set up to release damaging information on the President of the United States. Who is
it's set to release the truth, right? I thought we were trying to get the truth.
Right. But the truth is expected to be very damaging.
Whose fault is that?
It doesn't make a difference. All I'm saying is
that's academic, though, right? The truth is the truth.
What's academic is it's not illegal to not do this. Until it is, I have no issue with it.
Since when is it?
It'll never be illegal, right? It would never be illegal to
Since when is it turning on your party to tell the truth? That's part of your statement. I don't understand.
No, I'm saying it's expected to be damaging, right? Whatever they're going to say is expected to be damaging towards the president.
If they tell the truth.
And they're choosing not to say that until they're absolutely forced to do so. And again, I don't have an issue with that. I've said that 3 times.
Well, according to President Trump, it's not going to be damaging. It's going to be something that would basically release him, right? It's something that would it basically would clear him, right? I mean, that's the way the approach that President Trump is taking, right? Is that these people, I should probably let them talk because they're going to clear my name, right? That's kind of the stance that he's taking. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, right?
Well, the bottom line is if there's no damning information, then why are they not speaking? I mean, I think we all could read between the lines here and see what's going on. I said it 6 weeks ago. I'll say it again. I think this is going to be the demise of Donald Trump. This is not just the transcript we're talking about. We're also learning that there's more information that was withheld in that transcript in regards to Donald Trump talking about the Bidens. So I think there's more information that's going to come forward. There's a lot more in regards to this story that we need to get to. Kellyanne Conway made the rounds. Did a few interviews over the weekend looking like a complete clown. We're going to get to that with Michael Avenatti coming up in hour number 2. It really is unbelievable. And then, as I like to call her, talentless Tomi Lahren. She's a graduate from UNLV. I have no idea what she's famous for other than saying stupid things and saying over-the-top things and writing a few books and making some TV appearances. I really don't know why she's so popular, and so I really don't. I don't understand it. I'll admit this: she's certainly better looking than I am. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but I really don't know what she's good at. I really don't. But she decided to dress up in a costume, looking like Ocasio-Cortez. But she also made some controversial comments on social media. So we'll talk about that coming up next. We're also going to have John Schaefer come in here, KDW news anchor, give us the news of what's going on. Also, Shawn Porter, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world, will be in studio. Hour number 3, we're going to talk a little more boxing with him and why are people dying? 4 people dead in last year in the sport of boxing. We'll get to that and much, much more. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. This is the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM.
Individually at auction.com/radio. Financing is available and a broker co-op is being offered for this one-time unprecedented online auction to be held November 11th through 13th. Add more rentals to your portfolio. Diversify your investments to add real estate or buy your very first real estate investment. This is an auction that can't be missed. View all homes and auction details at auction.com/radio. That's www.auction.com/radio. Auction is subject to a reserve.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from the Vegas Take Care. I want to share with you a story. I was driving to meet somebody for lunch in the Valley one day when I was stopped at a red light, hit from behind by a driver going around 40 miles an hour. My car was totaled. I suffered injuries. I needed help. I contacted Van Law Firm. Within a few days, I was getting the medical treatment I needed, and within 6 months, I received the maximum settlement. Give Van Law Firm a call, 702-500-HURT, for a free consultation. You pay nothing unless they win. It's the Van Law Firm. Call them, 702-500-HURT, and mention you heard it from the Vegas Take.
If you know the value of good machines, then it's high time we got together. We're Bailey Industrial, builders of metal and woodworking equipment. Hard-working machines for hard-working people. We stand behind our equipment and make sure our equipment stands behind you with the after-sales support you need to keep your shop running smoothly, which means making sure you have what you need when you need it, typically shipping within 72 hours or less. So whether you're a fabricator or manufacturer of metal or wood products, go to 920machine.com and we'll send you a catalog, over 400 pages of what you love most, machines. So whatever you're looking to build or manufacture, do it with Bailey Industrial, the company you can trust to give you the equipment and service you can rely on. Because if it's worth doing right, it's only right to do it with Bailey. Get the Machine Lover's Dream catalog free by calling 920-MACHINE or go to 920machine.com. Get your free catalog while they last at 920machine.com.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
720 on the AM, 101.5 FM.
Yeah, now on FM.
The only FM news talk station in Las Vegas, KDWN.
The House impeachment inquiry has just released the first transcripts from its interviews. The appearances of former Ukrainian Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch and Michael McKinley, a former advisor to the Secretary of State. We get more from correspondent Phil Mattingly.
This represents the moving to the public sphere of this investigation that for the past month has been all closed-door depositions.
The impeachment inquiry has had all 4 of its subpoenaed witnesses reject appearing today at the advice of the White House. We get more from correspondent Manu Raju.
The ultimate question is how many more witnesses will they hear from behind closed doors, because the number of the people who are scheduled to testify are senior officials in the administration, people who are political appointees, people who seem to be lining up to the White House's defense that they should not cooperate with the House impeachment probe, even though they have been served with subpoenas.
The president says that he will appeal a decision to hand over his federal tax returns. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDWN Traffic Center.
This report sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Slowing on 215 Southern Beltway eastbound between Buffalo and I-15. And a delay pattern on 95 southbound from the Spaghetti Bowl to Casino Center Boulevard. On the surface streets, an accident reported Las Vegas Boulevard at Sahara. An injury sustained in the crash Cheyenne eastbound east of I-15. Police and fire were the scene. Expect slowing and lane restrictions. Liberty Mutual Insurance customizes your coverage so you only pay for what you need. Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote and you could save. I'm John Michaels from the KDWN Traffic Center.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458, 800-481-1458, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Hey, have you heard that ransomware attacks have increased by 500% this year?
Yeah, cybercriminals are targeting all types of businesses, encrypting their data and holding it hostage unless they pay up.
What if we're their next victim?
Don't worry, we have Barracuda to detect, prevent, and recover from ransomware and other advanced threats.
So we're secured?
Absolutely. We'll pay no ransom and keep this business up and running.
That's a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Hey, it's Lee Goldberg of the GCI Guys at Realty One Group. Do you know anyone that's looking to buy a home, sell a home, rent, move from California? If so, give them my number, 702-902-3029. All listeners of the Vegas Take get $1,000 in your hand back at closing. Hometown heroes, veteran, military, police, teacher, nurse, I'm giving you $2,000 back. That also goes for hospitality and casino employees. Free use of a moving truck for a day, 6 free months of home security. Call me, 702-902-3029, the GCI Guys.
So how's your boy doing in school? Not so good. His grades are getting worse, and all he does is play video games, and when I finally get him to do his homework, he says he doesn't understand it.
Oh, that sounds like my daughter. Well, not anymore.
What do you mean not anymore?
My daughter started going to the Infinity Math Institute about 3 months ago. I sent her there as a punishment because she got an F in math. Boy, was she mad at me. But 1 week later, she was talking about how much she liked it. Now she has an A in math, and all her other grades have gone up too.
Get out of here. That sounds too good to be true.
I know, but it is true. When I went down there there to check it out. I couldn't believe how nice everything was and how everyone was so nice. I never knew anything like this even existed.
I went to another tutoring place, and they were too expensive. It didn't help all that much. Infinity must be super expensive.
That's the craziest thing. They're less expensive than any of the other places and so much more effective. You should call them. They even have scholarships for families with financial struggles. Tell them Sharp and Shapiro sent you for a discount.
I will. What's their number?
702-768-1777. That's 768-1777, or you can visit them at themathinstitute.com. Don't get more math problems, get solutions.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Just some breaking news here. We have learned that the Volker and Sondland transcripts will be released tomorrow, so we're going to have a lot to talk about, I would imagine, with these transcripts word for word. These are real transcripts, by the way, not a transcript like the President of the United States talking with the President of the Ukraine and then handpicked. No, these are actual word for word transcripts that are going to be released tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that. And Michael Avenatti will be joining us coming up here at the bottom of the hour. But now it's time to do the news with KDWN's very own John Schaefer. John, what's up? What's going on?
Well, Las Vegas Metro Police are investigating an incident involving a man with a knife that ended in a car crash. Officers were called early Sunday morning after a man at a party became distraught, took his infant child, and began cutting himself. Police say the man then got into his car with the child and took off. While officers were on their way to the scene, they passed the crash. Police say it appears the man who was distraught at the party ran a stoplight, injuring 6 other people.
Arrested?
Yes.
So he's behind bars right now. Good. I hope he stays there for a very, very long time. Sounds like a psychopath. Thank God nobody lost their lives.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Scary stuff, man.
You may have noticed chalk outlines of bodies popping up all over Valley roads. They're actually part of today's Day of Awareness for Pedestrian Safety Dusk to Dawn campaign. Its goal is to raise awareness about pedestrian safety, especially now that it gets dark earlier. There are 91 outlines throughout the valley, all in places where a pedestrian was hit and killed since January of last year.
That's good. I'm glad they're doing that. People should remember that there are a lot of people, innocent people, that lose their lives, sadly, almost every day in the valley, whether it's a pedestrian or a DUI or that sort of thing. And there's a lot of people that have no idea how to drive in this town. Certain areas are worse than others, but yeah, I'm glad that they're doing that.
A federal appeals court in New York says President Trump's tax returns can be turned over to state criminal investigators. The ruling by the Second U.S. Court of Appeals came today. It's certain to be further appealed. The decision upholds a lower court ruling rejecting Trump's lawsuit seeking to block his accountant from letting a grand jury see his tax records from 2011.
Another blow for Donald Trump, and we're going to talk about that with Michael Avenatti, who's going to be joining us coming up here at a little after 10 a.m., and I think eventually he's going to have to show his taxes one way or another. And let's just try to be honest with this thing. If there was nothing in there that he didn't want you to see, they would have been released by now. We all know that. There are obviously some things in there that are damning that he does not, you or I, to know. So, again, I think this is just another step towards eventually he's going to have to show his tax returns.
While almost everyone wishes they could turn back time, one of the largest corporations in the country is sick of it. Minnesota-based 3M taking advantage of the end of daylight saving time and removing about 1,000 wall clocks at its 400-acre Maplewood campus. For decades, nearly 24 people worked in 12-hour shifts for 2 weekends a year to adjust the time and put in new batteries. The cost of changing those clocks averaged about $35,000 a year. This is a way for the company to be more efficient and get rid of something it doesn't need. A few of the timepieces are being donated, the rest recycled.
That's like a yearly salary for some people.
Yeah.
John, did you enjoy your extra hour of sleep over the weekend?
You didn't get an extra hour of sleep. That is a myth. I still woke up at the same time, and then I went to bed an hour earlier because it was an hour later in my head.
But one night, that night, you still did get an extra hour of sleep. What do you mean it's a myth? You have 1 hour less the following day. I agree with you. But you still did get an extra hour of sleep, did you not?
No, because I still woke up early.
Well, that's your fault then. Why did you do that? You're crazy. It's your opportunity to sleep in.
No.
What time did you wake up then?
I think I got up at 6.
You got up at 6 a.m. for no reason at all.
That's when I wake up.
It's a body clock thing,
Right.
Brian. It's not necessarily.
I'm sorry, I can't
based on
relate
the
to that,
day or
okay?
the-
I know.
Just because you have the day off, it's not going to change the way your
Sleeping
your whole
into 6,
setup works.
not waking up till 6 is sleeping in for me because I get up at 3:30.
Let me tell you the people that make me sick. The people that are running on a Sunday morning at like 5 in the morning and they're jogging and running.
First
They
of
make
all,
me feel
when
really.
have you
Do they make
seen
you
5
sick,
in
or
the
you're just
morning?
envious because you think I
A
should be
few
doing
times.
that too?
That's a valid point. A
Getting
few
in
times.
shape.
A few times in my life. I'm
Take-
angry.
taking care of their body.
They make me feel bad.
Shame on them.
I can
Yes.
see it if you're coming
Absolutely.
home at 5 in the morning seeing them, but I don't think you're up at 5 seeing people running around.
Usually it's when I'm going home. You're correct. You're
Walk
right
of
about it.
shame.
I just get angry. Are you one of those people? Are you jogging at 6 o'clock in the morning?
No.
Okay, good. Good.
No.
Okay, good. That makes me feel a little better about myself. Not much, but a little better.
But what time do you go to the gym, usually?
On the weekends, I go earlier, like 7:30 or 8. Weekdays, I go after work.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, John Schaefer takes care of his body. Clearly, the three of us do not. Mr. Schaefer, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. We will catch you bright and early tomorrow morning with the news. Here's what I want to do. I want to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about talentless Tomi Lahren. You know, if you recall, she graduated from UNLV. Don't know why she's famous. She's written a few books. I couldn't read a paragraph without being bored out of my mind. I think she's very boring. She says some controversial things, but that's not why we're going to talk about her. She dressed up as a Democratic politician. We'll tell you exactly who she dressed up as and what she said that is bothering me a great deal and many others on social media. We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
If you know the value of good machines, then it's high time we got together. We're Bailey Industrial, builders of metal and woodworking equipment. Hard-working machines for hard-working people. We stand behind our equipment and make sure our equipment stands behind you with the after-sales support you need to keep your shop running smoothly, which means making sure you have what you need when you need it, typically shipping within 72 hours or less. So whether you're a fabricator or manufacturer of metal or wood products, go to 920machine.com and we'll send you a catalog, over 400 pages of what you love most, machines. So whatever you're looking to build or manufacture, do it with Bailey Industrial, the company you can trust to give you the equipment and service you can rely on. Because if it's worth doing right, it's only right to do it with Bailey. Get the Machine Lover's Dream catalog free by calling 920-MACHINE or go to 920machine.com. Get your free catalog while they last at 920machine.com.
Hey, it's Brian G. Barrow from the Vegas Take Care, and now it's time for Infinity's Fun Fact of the Day.
If there are 23 people in a room, there is a 50% chance 2 of those people have the same birthday.
Don't forget to visit themathinstitute.com for more information on how to make your child the most successful student they can be.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
If your retirement plan is on set it and forget it, it's time to take control. Tune in Saturday at 4 p.m. for Financial Safari with America's Wealth Coach and best-selling author, Coach Pete DeRuta. For more than 25 years, Coach Pete has been helping people just like you plan for retirement. Join Coach Pete every week as he discusses topics like why your retirement plan should also be an income plan and how to make sure you're getting the most out of your 401k. Financial Safari with Coach Pete, Saturday afternoons at 4 on KDWN 101.5 FM and 720 AM.
Hi, this is Shelly, and I am a 4-time cancer survivor. 50% of men and 30% of women will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. Go to cancer.org for cancer facts and information, 1-800-227-2345 for any cancer information you might need.
Distracted driving means danger,
recklessness,
irresponsible,
chaos, police,
devastation,
injury,
tears, death. Safe driving means staying alert and staying alive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Steve Sanchez, weekdays 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take Sharp Bureau. Chris Wynn joining us on a Monday. Coming up here in just a few, we'll be joined by Michael Avenatti, the latest on everything involving Donald Trump over the last several days and really over the course of the last week. A lot to get to with him, so he'll be joining us here in just a little bit. So Republicans like to talk about Ocasio-Cortez all the time like she speaks for all Democrats, which she doesn't. She's a freshman congresswoman. I think she's fairly intelligent. And, you know, I think she is a nightmare for Republicans. Why? Because she is a strong woman who happens to be very attractive, and I do find her intelligent, and I think she is a threat to Republicans, and many Republicans see her as a threat, and she also happens to be a minority. So it's like a triple whammy for Republicans, and they bring her up all the time. I don't agree with everything she says. I don't agree with everything she does. But I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's very passionate in her views. I would not say the same thing about Ilhan Omar. I am not a supporter of hers. I think she said some very anti-Semitic things and some ignorant things. I don't find Omar to be extremely intelligent, but I do find Ocasio-Cortez to be a very smart woman. So you might have heard of this woman before locally. She graduated from UNLV. I like to call her talentless Tomi Lahren because I really don't know what she's famous for. I don't think she's very intelligent.
She's a button pusher. That's what she's famous for.
I don't think she's very intelligent. I don't really know what she's good at. She's written a few books. You'd have to pay me a lot of money to read one page of one of her books. I think she's ignorant. Not because I disagree with her political views. I just think she's dumb, okay? I don't know what she's accomplished in her life. With that being said, she has a right to dress up as whoever she wants to for Halloween. I don't have a problem with that. So she posted on her social media pages, she dressed up as Ocasio-Cortez. Nothing wrong with that. It's funny. It's a gag. No issues with that. But I want you, when she posts a picture of herself looking like Ocasio-Cortez on Halloween night, this is what she said on social media. She said, I decided to dress up as the person who scares me most. The Democratic dimwit darling. First of all, dimwit. I'm not sure what. I can tell you right now that Ocasio-Cortez is far more intelligent than Tomi Lahren. But anyway, she called her a dimwit darling, a socialist-loving, freedom-hating former bartender herself. Now, there's so much in this statement that is just so stupid and so wrong. First of all, what do you mean freedom-hating? I don't even know what she's trying to say there. But there's no evidence to back up that, you know, Ocasio-Cortez is freedom-hating. But it's at the end of that statement that really bothers me. And I see a lot of Republicans doing the same thing. Because you disagree with Ocasio-Cortez, you're supposed to be for the middle class. Tomi Lahren says she's a champion for the middle class. What is wrong with being a former bartender? What is wrong with working an honest job for a living? The real nitwit here is Tomi Lahren. Because, again, she talks about how she wants to support the middle class, and she's a champion for the middle class and the hardworking American. Well, if Ocasio-Cortez is a former bartender, wouldn't that be a positive? That was a hard-working job that Ocasio-Cortez has. There are so many Republicans on the right that go after Ocasio-Cortez, even elected politicians that go after her because she is a former bartender. We've heard Laura Ingraham do it. We've heard Tucker Carlson do it. It is absurd, it is ridiculous, and it makes you look very tiny.
Well, quick side note here, Brian, that also Tomi Lahren, I believe she tweeted out, I want to say either on Wednesday or Thursday, that it was a contradiction what she tweeted out. She tweeted out that she thought that the fact that AOC is a former bartender was actually one of her enduring qualities. She actually tweeted out that it was one good thing that she can mention about her. So there's there's just all kinds of confusion there as to whether or not that's something that she would consider as a positive for her or not. So that's strange. I just want to point that out.
I don't understand why Tomi Lahren and many people on the right want to go after her and think that she should be ridiculed for being a bartender.
Last time I checked you, by the way, you mentioned, of course, obviously that Tomi Lahren is a UNLV grad, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe AOC is a Boston University grad. I could be wrong there, but I don't think I am.
That's a good point.
Well, according to Mark Zuckerberg in the social network, she never had to do her homework because she went to BU.
Oh, geez. There we go.
Yeah. Hey, what was Tomi Lahren's job here in Vegas? Do you have any idea?
Her job?
Yeah, when she was in college, what was her job? What was her occupation?
No idea.
Because AOC was in college and she was a bartender.
You mean what was her major?
Yeah, no, what did she do?
You tell me. I have no idea.
Did she work in the club industry?
I would want to believe. I would think that she's probably a communications major because she is friends with I have some acquaintances. Okay, that here in Vegas that are familiar with her and were friends with her in college. And I want to say that she was a communications major, but I'm not 100% positive.
This is the day and age that we are in now, whether it be social media or if you're on Fox News or CNN. This is the day and age that we're in right now. you can say things that are completely over the top and ridiculous and get rewarded for it. And I'm sorry, I just don't agree with that.
Brian, you asked the question. Why is she famous? That's why she's famous, right? Is because she had those, those talking points where she would just fire away, right? And she would say things that are controversial.
She's famous.
And that's how she got clicks, and that's how she got attention.
Because she's well-spoken. She is.
I don't think she's well-spoken at all.
Okay.
She is.
Okay, she's well-spoken. She is attractive. And
I won't disagree with that.
Okay, well, that all helps. That all helps, and she pushes in one direction, and she's not just well-spoken. She's extremely passionate. So her opinion is very, very aggressive towards whatever direction she feels is right. And,
so do you think
people like that, especially when you're attractive?
Do you like the fact that she's attacking Ocasio-Cortez because Ocasio-Cortez is a former bartender?
If I liked the fact, I wouldn't have asked you what her job was when she was at UNLV, because I'm guessing it was something similar.
Which wouldn't bother me at all. She
Me
has the
either.
right to do that.
I wouldn't care. I mean,
so why is it that many...
everyone has a right to make their living the way they want to make their living.
I agree. We agree. So, JD, why is it that there are... I'm not going to say the majority of Republicans, but there are some politicians out there that disagree with Ocasio-Cortez, including the President of the United States, who have gone after Ocasio-Cortez for being a former bartender. I think it makes you look really stupid when you do stuff like that. And there are other politicians out there that have done the same thing that Tomi Lahren has done. What would you say to them?
I think that it's unnecessarily, talking down to people, and it's happened before. We talked with President Obama, right? They talk about him being a community organizer. That's horrible, right? For me, it's something that's done on the right. It's meant to downgrade. It's meant to talk down to people, and that's something that you shouldn't do, particularly when you're talking about elected lawmakers who are elected by their constituents.
I have no problem with someone making a living for themselves.
I think we all agree.
While in college, I mean, that's actually a sign of a strong work. Well, whatever, but it's a sign of a strong work ethic if you can, carry a job and be successful in school. So yeah, to me, the insult doesn't have a lot of weight.
What do you guys think about this? I'll take some calls now. What do you guys think about Tomi Talentless Lahren going after Ocasio-Cortez for being a former bartender? The president has done the same thing. Many Republicans have done the same thing. We'll open up the phone lines right now, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. I also want to add that we are broadcasting live also on YouTube. Check out the Vegas Take YouTube page as we are streaming live right now. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. And let's start off with Mike. Mike, what's up?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. What's up?
What's up, Mike?
Who is Tomi Lahren?
She graduated from UNLV. She is a right-wing Republican pundit, I guess you could say, who goes on, makes the rounds on Fox News and other channels saying ridiculous things that are extreme to the right, just like anyone else would go on a network and say something that's extreme to the left. That's what she does, and she's written several books.
Well, she's wrong about earning an income. I mean, there's no shame in any kind of work whatsoever.
I agree.
I agree. I think we all agree on that.
If she was a stripper or an escort, that would be a whole different story. There's going to be some backlash with that. But being a bartender,
that doesn't matter either, because look in the Bible. Look in the Bible.
I'm just saying you could expect some backlash
from that. Marry a prostitute.
I can't believe JD's went on the air in Las Vegas and took a shot at the
listen,
entertainers.
I didn't take a shot. I just said you could expect some backlash.
Which doesn't make it right. Which doesn't make it right.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know that.
Oh, it's all right.
This is irony. This is the definition of irony with Alexandria Cortez. She wants total gun control, and she hates the police and wants to disarm the police. I mean,
what has she said? Hold on a second.
Like Obama said, is this the most peaceful time on the planet?
Mike, you said a lot there, so let's slow down here. You said that Ocasio-Cortez wants to, quote, disarm the police. Can you show me a specific statement that she made that would lead you to believe that she believes that police officers should not have weapons?
No, not now. But the way she has
then if you say no, not now, with all due respect, why would you make a ridiculous statement like that? Let me tell you what she wants to do, and
because of her past statements, Brian. I'm a nut on this channel. I've heard the news.
I understand, but the problem is you're listening to right-wing radio hosts making up garbage. Let me tell Mike. Okay, Mike. Let me explain to you what she wants, because I'm pretty clear in what she wants. She wants what Beto O'Rourke wants. She wants the types of weapons like AR-15s and assault weapons off the streets. That's what she wants. Now, you could disagree with that,
All
Mike.
assault weapons, Brian. Every weapon,
yes, I agree, but she never said that.
No,
Don't get in hey, don't get caught in the weeds now. Don't try to tell us what guns are what.
She never said that she doesn't want police to have assault weapons. She's never made that statement. Now, she has said people like you and me, they shouldn't be sold on the streets. She has now you can disagree with that, but Mike, here's my issue. With all due respect, again, when you make a statement like that and you say she wants to disarm the police, that is a right-wing talking point, and there's no facts to back. You can't even.
I just read that. That is the goal.
You read it from where? Infowars? Where did you read? Just because you read it somewhere doesn't mean it's true.
No, not on Infowars. It's in the news that Chicago wants to disarm their police.
Ocasio-Cortez has nothing to do with that.
And when what do you mean Chicago?
Their agenda, Brian. In my opinion, it's a national agenda right now.
But your opinion is not valid
Yes.
because there's no facts to back up your opinion. Well, I appreciate the call, Mike. This is my problem with people like Mike.
I think your opinion's valid, Mike.
Okay,
Thanks for the
it's
call.
not. What do you mean it's valid?
Well, on this point, it's not, because he's not backing it up with actual facts. He's backing it up with just what his thoughts are, what he believes, what he thinks should be. And that's not the way it works.
He's more of a conspiracy theorist, but his opinion is still valid.
How is it a valid opinion when there's no facts to back it up?
He has every right to his own opinion.
I didn't say he has no right to.
Yeah, he can say whatever he wants.
Okay, the facts that he gets are facts to him, and he gets them from people like Alex Jones, clearly. But
so how is that a valid opinion?
Again, to me, it's still his opinion, and it's a valid opinion.
Well, we know it's his opinion, but in order for it to be a valid opinion, you have to have some sort of argument or facts to back it up. I specifically see, this is my problem with conspiracy theorists on the left and the right. They'll say something that is ridiculous, and then when questioned on it, I asked him, I said, where has Ocasio-Cortez ever said she wants to disarm the police? Which obviously she never said
you're
that.
actually getting angry at someone for thinking different than you right
It's
now.
not thinking different, JD.
It's having a ridiculous
It's a ridiculous opinion.
Yes, that's what it is.
JD, you know as well as I do.
That is spoon-fed to him by someone else who's in the same industry we are, but who
JD,
uses totally different facts than we do.
You know as well as I do that Ocasio-Cortez and no Democrat that is in office has ever said they want to disarm the police. You know that is complete crap. You know that.
Well, I also
You're
know
too
that,
smart to believe this guy.
Right, well, was that a backhanded compliment there, Brian?
I know you agree with me on this. Why can't you admit that?
I'm just saying he has his own opinion, and that's fine, and he doesn't get it from us. That's okay. Move forward. Not a big deal.
I don't care where he gets it
I think
from.
it is
it's
a
just
big
an
deal.
opinion that's ridiculous. It has nothing to do with where he got it from or who he's listening to or what he's saying. He's the one that mentioned it on the air. He came on the radio and mentioned it, and it's a ridiculous
Here's
opinion.
my problem. When somebody on a national show, like a Tucker Carlson or a Laura Ingraham, who I could picture maybe saying something ignorant like that, people like Mike believe it, and then they talk about it, and it could affect the way they vote. It is important. It is our responsibility.
Okay, on the same side of things, when someone on a left-wing media or
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
says that Donald Trump is a giant racist who wants to be the next Stalin, same thing. Exactly.
I agree. It doesn't.
Okay.
But I wouldn't. But here's the difference between you and me, JD. I wouldn't say their opinion is valid if they said something like that. You're saying that an opinion is valid of someone that believes that Ocasio-Cortez wants to disarm the police. That's not a valid opinion. That's a moron who believes that, okay? And same to your point. If somebody compares Donald Trump to Stalin, I would call them a moron. They have no facts to back up. Now, if you can say Donald Trump maybe has said some things that could be construed as racist, I wouldn't call him Hitler or Stalin, and I don't agree with that language. For anybody on the left to use that language, I think there are opinions. Everyone has the right to their opinions, and then there are valid opinions. I think those are two separate things and two separate entities. That's what I would say to that. And it's sad that there are people, Mike, he started off the conversation. It seems like not a dumb guy. I'm just shocked that there are people out there that believe that sort of thing. There is not one Democrat that wants to take in office right now that wants to take every single gun away from you. There is not one Democrat that is in office right now that wants to disarm the police. It is a right-wing talking point. And when we talk about gun control, okay, and when we talk about red flag laws, and when we talk about assault weapons, the extreme right wants to make it like we want to take your Second Amendment rights away. And that is absolutely, positively not the case. It is not the case. And it is dangerous to think that way. And that is the point I am trying to make. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Doesn't mean that every opinion is valid, but everyone is entitled to think the way they want to think. My only point is, and I can only speak for myself on this one, I'm not always going to be right. I have strong opinions when it comes to pretty much everything in society, not just politics, sports, everything. I'm not always right. But one thing I will say about myself is every opinion that I have is based on something, usually facts. okay? The reason why I am not a Donald Trump supporter, I don't like the guy, is because of the things he has said, because of his history of the way he treats people, because of the lies. That's why I don't like the man. The reason why I was not a huge Barack Obama supporter, the main reason for me, I respect him, but the reason why I wasn't a big supporter is I didn't think he helped the racial divide in this country. I didn't think he helped it. But the reason why I respect Obama is for what I just said. Good father, good husband, good man. I think everything was spoon-fed to this man, Donald Trump. I don't think he really knows what it is like to live paycheck to paycheck. And for the people that are in office right now, many of them have a lot of money, Democrats and Republicans. I want people representing us that know what it's like to struggle.
Okay, so that should be a requirement, is to have to live paycheck to paycheck to be president of the United States.
Didn't say it was a requirement, but I'm saying I would like to.
But you will think less of someone who hasn't lived paycheck to paycheck.
I will think less of someone that is given a $500 million company. I will think less of someone that was given spoon-fed money when he was a child.
You just said something totally different. Someone who hasn't struggled, you will think less of if they're president of the United States.
Well, look, I'll make a comparison here, right, JD, really quickly, right? I have much more respect for a person like Mitt Romney, okay, than I do for a person like Donald Trump. And you can make the distinction as to why, right? It's because of a lot of what Brian just said regarding President Trump.
Well, I'll tell you
he's someone who's not like Mitt Romney, okay? And I'm not a supporter of Mitt Romney, but I'm just trying to make a point.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to continue this conversation on the other side because I think it's an interesting.
Let's go.
It's an interesting conversation. I want to join us in this conversation, Michael Avenatti. He'll be joining us coming up here in just a few. We're also going to talk about Kellyanne Conway. Wow, did she make herself look like a clown on TV over the weekend? Get to that coming up next.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Transcripts released. Appealing appeal. I'm Mike Moss. Americans are now able to read for themselves the transcripts of the impeachment inquiry interviews with the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, and Michael McKinley, a former top advisor to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Correspondent Phil Mattingly with more from Capitol Hill.
The three chairs who are running this investigation on the Democratic side said, quote, the transcripts of interviews with Ambassador Yovanovitch and McKinley demonstrate clearly how President Trump approved the removal of a highly respected and effective diplomat based on public falsehoods and smears against Ambassador Yovanovitch's character and her work in support of long-held U.S. foreign policy anti-corruption goals.
Four White House officials today defied subpoenas to appear before the impeachment inquiry. Impeachment Chairman Adam Schiff.
This will be further evidence of an effort by the administration to obstruct the lawful and constitutional duties of Congress.
Documents from the Mueller-Russia investigation released under the Freedom of Information Act are providing a glimpse into the inside thinking of the 2016 Trump campaign. More from correspondent Jessica Schneider.
Within the Trump campaign in 2016 leading up to the election, the president and other top campaign officials repeatedly discussing how they could get that access to the stolen Democratic emails that WikiLeaks had. Now, that's all according to the interview notes from Rick Gates, who was the deputy campaign chairman. And Gates was cooperating with Mueller's team and told them that then candidate Trump said, quote, get the emails.
Analysts say they are betting big on gambling. Investors and sports betting companies are predicting that the sports betting industry will become a $7 billion to $8 billion a year industry in the United States, all of that happening within 5 years. Optimism about trade results between the U.S. and China. As Wall Street up today, the Dow up 106, S&P up 13. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Slowing on 215 Southern Beltway eastbound between Buffalo and I-15. And a delay pattern on 95 southbound from the Spaghetti Bowl to Casino Center Boulevard. On the surface streets, an accident reported Las Vegas Boulevard at Sahara. An injury sustained in the crash Cheyenne eastbound east of I-15. Police and fire were the scene. Expect slowing and lane restrictions. Liberty Mutual Insurance customizes your coverage so you only pay for what you need. Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote and you could save. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Blue Emu Lidocaine Cream and Blue Emu Maximum Arthritis Cream both are deep penetrating and odor-free. Beat the pain 2 ways and live life. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink. Available at nationwide retailers.
Psst, Bob, quick, the neighbors. There they go again. Geez, it's like clockwork. Every weekend, he grabs his clubs, she grabs a duffel, and they're gone for the night. And when they come back, they look so relaxed and happy. Where do you think they go?
Well, they're not rich, so it must be affordable. Maybe some kind of marriage retreat?
Oh, right, with golf clubs. And she looks so refreshed.
We could use some of whatever it is. Go ask them when they get back.
Well, they're back, and you won't believe it.
Surprise me.
They've been going to Casablanca Resort in Mesquite on that $99 room and golf getaway. Sometimes they go for the $99 room and spa getaway. They love it.
Hey, we can afford $99, and it's only a little more than an hour's drive. Let's treat ourselves.
Book your $99 room and golf or spa getaway today at mesquitegaming.com or call 877-GETAWAY. Casablanca Resort in Mesquite, just like Vegas used to be. Must be 21 years or older.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-592-9422. 800-592-9422. 800-592-9422.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, what if phenomenal careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair? If being the captain of the robotics team means just as much on a college application as being captain of the football team. And if knowing the quadratic formula is every bit as important as knowing the right people. Well, the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. More opportunities, better pay. And the road to these great jobs starts as early as middle school. So if you're a student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids. Because the job you'll get in the future may very well depend on what you do today. A public service message from America's Navy.
720 on the AM, 1015 FM.
Yeah, now on FM.
The only FM news talk station in Las Vegas. KDON.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, rolling out hour number 2 on a Monday. So glad you could join us. Chris Wynn also guest hosting today in studio. And man, do we have a lot to get to in regards to this impeachment inquiry. We'll get to all of it. What better person to have on the line with us than our In the Ring segment with attorney Michael Avenatti. Michael, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good morning, gents. How's it going?
What's up, Michael?
Going
Solid.
good. Michael, I heard a rumor that you were going to be in studio this week. Is that true?
That is true. I'm going to be there bright and early with you guys on Wednesday.
Awesome, man. All right, well, we look forward to it. Also, a reminder to all the listeners, we are streaming live on YouTube on our Vegas Take page. All right, Michael, glad you're going to be here Wednesday, but let's get down to business here. Let's start with Kellyanne Conway. I don't know if you heard about some of the statements that she made on a few of the shows over the weekend, but, you know, Chris Wallace, who I respect, and I know you do as well on Fox News, made some statements. Why is it okay for Republicans to do it in regards to closed-door meetings with Benghazi, differing from, you know, the impeachment process? He's making this a similar case to that, and I agree. So here's Fox anchor Chris Wallace questioning the White House counselor Kellyanne Conway's objection to impeachment testimonies being conducted in private.
Respectfully, Chris, this is about impeaching a president of the United States, which is an
Benghazi was about 4 Americans who died.
Because of the negligence of a woman who got defeated for being president
wouldn't you
of the
say
United
that's
States.
pretty important, too?
And an ambassador,
wouldn't you say that's
NSA
pretty
director
important?
lied about a videotape being the reason.
Wouldn't you say Benghazi was pretty important?
I would say Benghazi was extremely important, and I will always be very sad
But it was
that 4 Americans
conducted
died
behind closed
unnecessarily.
doors, is my point. So why is it okay for Republicans to do
Chris,
it,
the president
but
of the
not
United States
Democrats?
has no due process right. He's had no due process rights afforded to him in this whole process. This is not the way that our rule of law, our system of justice should work for the president or for anyone else.
All right, Michael, what is your response to that?
Well, I mean, 2 things. Things have gotten so bad for the president that even Kellyanne Conway is having a difficult time defending him. And that's a very bad day for the president. But look, Kellyanne Conway and Trump and others that are making this ridiculous argument that Trump has not had due process, they don't understand generally how the criminal justice system works. Normally a grand jury is convened behind closed doors, and the only individuals that have access to that grand jury or can present information or even learn about what happens before the grand jury are the prosecutors, are one side. And in this case, in fact, that's not what has happened. What has happened is that, yes, many of these meetings have been, quote, behind closed doors, close quote, but many of the Republicans have access to the witnesses, have access to the information. They're participating in the proceedings. And this is the first step, or the first few steps, I should say, in a very lengthy process. Donald Trump, if charges are issued from the House, will have his day. He will have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses, or his counsel will, and present evidence. That day is coming. But he's been afforded far more due process, frankly, at this stage of the proceedings than most individuals are in the criminal justice system day in and day out in America. So I find this entire argument absurd. I understand why they're making it. I understand that it fits their efforts to distract away from what really happened here. But I just find it completely baseless.
Why is it, Michael, that you think that so many of these Republicans that you mentioned are not taking advantage of the fact that they could be a part of these hearings?
Well, many of them have been a part of the hearings, and if they wanted to, they could participate. I think it's a convenient argument for them to make. This is all about distraction at this point, gentlemen. I mean, this is why Donald Trump and the Republicans so desperately want the name of the whistleblower outed. The name and identity of the whistleblower at this point makes absolutely no sense. I made this point over the weekend. This is like blaming the neighbor who called the police at 3:30 in the morning while the burglary or rape was going on, and want to focus on the identity of the neighbor. Who cares about the identity of the whistleblower? We're beyond that at this point. Everything that the whistleblower stated in his or her complaint has now been proven to be true by the testimony of other witnesses. This effort to out the identity of the whistleblower is nothing more than an effort to put a face and a name to this scandal so that Trump and the Republicans can do to the whistleblower what they'd like to, or what they want to do to me and what they have done to me and anyone else that's gone after this president. They demonize them. They create fictions around them. They create bogus nicknames for them. They attack them. They dig into their background. They create bogus charges against them. That's their modus operandi, and that's exactly what they want to do with this whistleblower.
We're also going to take your phone calls. Joining us on the line is attorney Michael Avenatti. If you have a question or comment for Michael, give us a buzz. Right now is the time to do it. 702-257-5396. Again, 257-5396 is the number to call. Michael, I also want to play some audio from you where Chris Wallace was questioning Kellyanne Conway on releasing of the aid or lack thereof to the Ukraine. I want you to hear this, and then we'll comment on it.
Kellyanne, the president didn't release the aid until the story was out.
You're trying to make that causation where it may be
I find it an awfully interesting coincidence.
They've got their aid, and that's what's important. And why
No. But how the aid came out, it was held up all summer till the 11th of September, and the only reason it came out was because...
No, don't say that. Don't go there.
It had already...
You have no idea that's why it was held out.
So you think it's a coincidence that the whistleblower complaint comes on the 9th and the aid is released on the 11th? You're suggesting that's a coincidence?
Well, I'm suggesting that you don't know what you were just about to say to be true, that the only reason it came out was because 2 days before, a whistleblower that Schiff's staff was nefariously colluding with. Adam Schiff was colluding with the whistleblower, apparently.
All right. Michael, your response to that?
Well, actually, Wallace then follows up after that and asks again, you know it's not true? And she says, I don't know, which I found that to be absolutely shocking. So she did not deny that, in fact, the aid was withheld until after the story broke. At the end of the day, when pressed, she said that she didn't know, which I found remarkable when Kellyanne Conway does not feel comfortable enough hanging it out there in the defense of the president. Look, I don't think there's any question at this point that the aid was held up and would have continued to be held up until an investigation into Hunter Biden was announced. I don't think it's a coincidence that the story breaks on the 9th of September and all of a sudden someone in the White House, Trump and others, decide, you know what, we better release this aid because it's not going to look good if we have continued to hold up this aid in light of this scandal breaking. I'm sure that's what happened.
Yeah, Michael, isn't this just a classic case of the timeline doesn't add up to what Kellyanne Conway or anybody in the Trump administration that's trying to defend how this all went down?
Well, I think that's true. But look, whether the aid was released or not, and the timing of when the aid was released in relation to when the story broke, whether there was a quid pro quo or not, all of this is window dressing in my view, because I'm going to go back to what I've said since this scandal first surfaced and since the alleged transcript, which is not a transcript, which is another point that I've been making, was released. The bottom line is this. The president of the United States cannot enlist the assistance of a foreign nation or leader to assist him individually, personally, in a political campaign. That is enough. It is an abuse of office. It is an impeachable offense, period.
Michael, I want to talk to you a little bit about Donald Trump's taxes, or lack thereof, because we haven't really seen them yet, okay? I wanted to ask you a little bit about this because Donald Trump in New York, in his tax case, has lost another appeal and now must hand over his returns, and he's filed an appeal after losing the initial case at the district court level. So as an attorney, can you give us a little bit of information on this? When are we actually going to see his tax returns? Because I think this is a big deal.
So the Manhattan District Attorney has launched an investigation into the Trump Organization's finances, and namely how these the hush money payments were handled, including the $130,000 that was paid to my former client, Stormy Daniels. And so they issued a subpoena to the accountants, I believe, and to the Trump Organization for various tax returns. Trump in turn filed a lawsuit in federal court to prevent the turnover of those tax returns. The federal district judge agreed with the Manhattan District Attorney and ordered Trump to produce the returns, or Trump's organization to produce the returns. It then went to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, who issued a decision today basically shooting down the arguments of Donald Trump and his lawyers and finding that, in fact, the Manhattan District Attorney had the right to subpoena this information. Now the indication is that Trump's lawyers are going to take this to the U.S. Supreme Court. My guess is the court will agree to accept review of the case, hopefully on an expedited basis, because if not, it's going to be many, many months, well into next year, before we reach a decision in the case, or a decision is reached in the case, I should say. But this is the closest, I think, that anyone has come in the last 3 to 4 years to actually seeing these tax returns and getting to the bottom of what Trump and his organization have claimed in the past.
Michael, I know these are hypotheticals and speculation, and I know you're not huge on those two things, but you're a smart guy. What is it that you think, and again, we're speculating here, what is it that you think Donald Trump does not want you or I to see in his tax returns, if you had to guess?
So I've had cases in the past where people were celebrities or very wealthy defendants, or at least so they said, and they traded on that belief, that public persona, in order to perpetuate their fame and the money that they were earning. And when we really dug into it, we found that it was all a facade, that it was not, in fact, real. And we utilized that information, frankly, to settle cases in the past very successfully, because what we made it clear was, in a settlement context, in a settlement conference or mediation, look, if we go to trial in this case, I don't know if we're going to win or lose, but over the course of that trial, the world is going to come to know that you, Jane Doe celebrity, don't really have any money. You're not what you have pretended to be, and that's going to destroy this entire persona that you have. And I think that's exactly what this tax return issue is all about. And I think it's why he's never disclosed his tax returns. I think that's why he fights like hell to avoid them being disclosed. Has he earned money over the course of his lifetime? Has he been successful in business? Sure. I'm willing to give him that. Has he been anywhere close to as successful as he likes to think and likes to claim? Hell no. I don't believe that at all. And I also think that those tax returns would show that he hasn't paid tax in many, many years, and he's claimed huge losses associated with his businesses. And he knows that this would undercut his persona with millions of people in America if all of a sudden they figured out that, in fact, this guy is not nearly as successful as he's claimed to be. I think that's what's at issue here.
Do you think that he has any major loans with Russian banks that Vladimir Putin could have a personal interest in that he has not paid out or that are outstanding currently?
I mean, do I think that's possible? Sure. Do I have any evidence of that? No. I don't know whether that's accurate or not. I think that if he has any loans from any financial institution in Russia, the likelihood of Vladimir Putin or the Russian government having significant influence over those entities would be very, very high, because that's the nature of their financial system to a significant degree and the way that Vladimir Putin runs Russia. But that's another possibility. But I think it may be that, but I think it's the first issue that I raised. I just think that he doesn't want to be exposed. He doesn't want all of his lies relating to his business and financial success to be exposed. This is a guy that is very, very focused on appearances. And he's always been focused on appearances. I mean, if you saw this story over the weekend that he needs reading glasses, but he doesn't want to be photographed and is afraid to put on the reading glasses in front of people, doesn't want other people to see him in reading glasses. Think about this. This is a guy that is very vain. He is very concerned about appearances at all times. And this tax return issue, if it would show that he is not as successful as he's claimed, it would really strike at the heart of his entire persona that he has perpetuated.
Michael Avenatti joining us live on the line. If you have a question or comment, give us a buzz, 257-5396. Again, that number is 702-257-5396. Why don't we try to squeeze in a few calls before we go to break? And why don't we start off with Mason. Mason, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. You are on with Michael Avenatti. Go ahead. Mason, go ahead. Mason, are you there? Okay, we lost Mason. 257-5396. Let's go to L. L, you are next on the Vegas Take. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, guys. I wanted to make 2 quick points about this. Now, you've got the Republicans. They're whining about the process and no due process. You have Mark Meadows and one other gentleman that's going in and listening in on all of this stuff and then going to the White House and strategizing with how they're going to deal with what evidence he's hearing. That's totally off base, and he's doing that. And then you've got Lindsey Graham, a senator who's going to sit in judgment of this. He's come out already and said no matter what he hears, no matter what evidence, he doesn't think it has anything. He will never. It's dead on arrival. How could he possibly say I'm not getting due process when they're all attorneys for him and working to help? What do you think of that?
That's a good question, Michael. Go ahead and respond to that.
Well, like I said earlier, I think this entire argument that he's not getting due process is absolutely bogus. I mean, the trial has not even started. Charges have not even been issued yet, and despite that fact, many of his supporters in Congress have significant access to witnesses and to evidence and to information. I mean, just today, certain witnesses are not appearing to testify in front of Congress, and they're not appearing to testify at the request of Donald Trump and the White House. I mean, this would be in a criminal, this would never happen in a standard criminal case where you would actually have the target of the investigation telling a witness not to testify in front of a grand jury. That very well would constitute obstruction of justice and lead to additional federal criminal charges, at least, and state charges if you were at the state level. So this entire argument that he's not getting due process, again, it's designed to distract away from the facts and the evidence that have been presented thus far. And look, if charges are issued, there's going to be a trial, and he's going to have full access to everything associated with that.
Number to call, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you have a question about subpoena legality with Michael. Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Michael. JD had touched upon this earlier. Is it a crime for these people who are not complying with a legally issued subpoena, or is it not a crime?
Michael, go ahead.
Well, that is not an easy question to answer, frankly. But at a minimum, it constitutes contempt, and individuals could be jailed pending compliance with the actual subpoenas. And I think, frankly, that Adam Schiff and the Democrats have not been aggressive enough as it relates to enforcing these subpoenas. Every time one of these individuals doesn't comply with one of these subpoenas, Adam Schiff takes to the podium and he has a press conference and he talks about how terrible it is. Well, okay, that's all well and good, but that's not going to get anybody's attention. I think that they really need to start taking this to the next level, and personally figuring out a way to hold people overnight if necessary, or over many nights until they comply with the congressional subpoena process. I mean, this whole idea that you can just ignore these congressional subpoenas and do whatever the hell you want just because Donald Trump tells you to do so is a fallacy. The process doesn't work that way.
Number to call if you have a question or comment for Michael Avenatti. The number is 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Anna, you are next on with Michael. Go ahead.
What's up, Anna?
Hello, Michael. How you doing?
Hi, Anna.
Okay, I got a question for you, Michael. Do you think you still have what it takes to jump in this race at any moment, no matter what you're going through? Do you think you have what it takes to jump in this race at any time?
Go ahead, Michael.
Well, do I think that I would like to jump in the race? Absolutely. Do I think that I have what it takes to take on Donald Trump and to beat him in an election? 100%. And I think that, he and Steve Bannon and many others were very concerned about that because they don't want to match up against a candidate like me. They don't want to match up with somebody that can really trade shots with Donald Trump and take the fight to him. And I think that's what it's going to take to beat him. But with that said, I mean, do I see that happening at this stage? Absolutely not, because I have to deal with a number of, very serious federal charges that have been brought upon me by the Department of Justice that's been weaponized at the request of Donald Trump. These guys did a really good job taking me out of the mix, frankly, as it relates to 2020, to kneecapping me. And I'm looking forward to proceeding through these matters, and we'll see what happens in the future. But I do not envision a scenario at this point, at this stage, with the timing and everything else, of me getting involved, unfortunately. And so I'm hopeful, though, that one of the other candidates is going to be able to defeat this guy, because if one of the candidates is not able to defeat Donald Trump, I don't think you're going to recognize his nation in 5 years after the damage that's done from another 4 years of Donald Trump.
So joining us on the line, it's attorney Michael Avenatti. We will take your calls on the other side of the break, and we will get to those of you that have been waiting on hold. The number to call is 257-5396, 702-257-5396. When we get back, I want to get Michael's take on Beto O'Rourke out of the presidential race. Was that a shock to him? We will ask him about that. We will get more into these four that were supposed to be witnesses into this impeachment inquiry not showing up today. We'll ask him a little bit more about that. And again, as I said, take your calls. And what does he think about the president and Biff, also known as Don Jr., being booed at this UFC event over the weekend? That and much more with Michael Avenatti coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever, 99 cents, plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Sunday nights, it's Steve Sanchez.
Wake the heck up.
Live from the undisclosed bunker studios with a Constitution in one hand and a Bible in the other. Sundays from 7 to 10 p.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Tina Trenner is back, and she's on 720 AM, 1015 FM, KDWN, every Sunday at 12:30 p.m. She's sick of the nonsense and has something to say every Sunday at 12:30 p.m.
Hey, it's Brian Shapiro from the Vegas Take Care, and now it's time for Infinity's Fun Fact of the Day.
The first whole number with an A in it is 1,000. Every odd number in existence has an E.
Don't forget to visit themathinstitute.com for more information on how to make your child the most successful student they can be.
Hi, this is Harvey Blankfeld, host of Las Vegas Real Estate Now. Please tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. and listen to us deliver timely, balanced truths about our market right here in Southern Nevada. You know, there's nothing that I enjoy more than educating our listeners about real estate, except maybe a well-prepared Reuben sandwich where the corned beef is really lean. Sorry, I digress. But please do tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. and learn about real estate right here on the new 101.5 FM 720 AM KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
The Las Vegas Health and Fitness Chamber, a nonprofit organization, offers many membership benefits to both business and individuals. Reach us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or on the website, VegasHealthFitnessChamber.com.
Rich is just a really, really, really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The president will appeal a decision from an appeals court that orders his accounting firm to hand over tax documents to New York State investigators. We get more from correspondent Kara Scannell.
This decision that just came out says that the president does not have blanket immunity, which he had argued, for any state grand jury investigation, and that includes this subpoena for his tax returns. Now, the judge is very clear on that, completely affirming the lower court's decision, but says he's going to send it back to the lower court in case the president wants to argue it further.
The Environmental Protection Agency is planning to relax rules regulating how power plants store waste from coal power and the release of water containing toxic chemicals into nearby waterways. Hundreds of thousands who live downstream from a dam in California have been told to be on alert. Several communities could be flooded if the Mojave River Dam should fail. On Wall Street, the Dow is up about 120. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Watch for slowing for the crash on the 215 Southern Beltway westbound near Green Valley Parkway in the East Valley, and also an accident on Sahara eastbound near Las Vegas Boulevard. Injury sustained. Police and fire are with the scene. No delays to report if you're on I-15 right now, north and southbound between the Spaghetti Bowl and the Southern Beltway. Liberty Mutual Insurance customizes your coverage so you only pay for what you need. Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote, and you could save. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Are you interested in owning rental properties right here in the Las Vegas area? Auction.com, the nation's leading real estate auctioneer, must sell 102 rental properties in the Las Vegas and Henderson markets. These are turnkey, income-producing single-family homes and condos with tenants and leases in place. That's right, the tenants are in place and currently paying rent on over 100 homes to be auctioned individually at auction.com/radio. Financing is available and a broker co-op is being offered for this one-time unprecedented online auction to be held November 11th through 13th. Add more rentals to your portfolio, diversify your investments to add real estate, or or buy your very first real estate investment. This is an auction that can't be missed. View all homes and auction details at auction.com/radio. That's www.auction.com/radio. Auction is subject to a reserve.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for our See Better, Drive Safer sale going on right now. Get great deals on everything from wiper blades to headlight bulbs. Plus, save on your next oil change with 5 quarts of O'Reilly Full Synthetic Motor Oil and MicroGuard Filter, just $25.99. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, our guest on the line, of course, attorney Michael Avenatti, who, by the way, will be joining us in studio on Wednesday. Good timing for that because we are streaming live every show as we speak right now. You can see our ugly mugs on YouTube, which is the Vegas Take page. Michael, I want to read one of your tweets, which I literally choked laughing when I read it over the weekend yesterday. I want to read this tweet. It says, "Thank God we don't have a president that blatantly lies all the time in a direct and purposeful effort to deceive tens of millions of Americans and avoid being held accountable for his actions, because that would be extremely dangerous to the future of our republic." I'm just going to go out on a limb and say you were being just a little bit facetious and sarcastic.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, you know, the lying and deception has gotten significantly worse over the last 6 months than it's ever been. I mean, there's no reliance on the truth whatsoever. I mean, this guy will literally say anything. He will say the red is or the light is red when the light is green, if it means that it's going to help him politically. I mean, it's really astounding. Yeah. And when he does it, there's tens of millions of people that actually believe it. And that's a frightening fact at this point.
Or he'll say my skin is white when it's actually orange. I think we all could agree on that. 257-5396 is the number to call if you have a question or comment for Michael Avenatti. Why don't we go to Sharon? Sharon, you're next with Michael. Go ahead.
Hi. How is everybody?
Good, Sharon. What do you got for Michael?
Well, I'm wondering if Bernie Sanders is very persistent and he keeps hanging in there. And I'm wondering if you think if he does not get the nomination, if he would break off, become an independent, and be a spoiler like Ralph Nader. Do you think there's any chance of that?
Good question, Sharon. Go ahead, Michael.
You know, I don't think that there's a chance of that, because I think that Bernie Sanders loves America and is very concerned about what that would result in. Namely, he knows that if were he to do that, that it would very likely lead to the reelection of Donald Trump. And I think that he cares about this country and cares about the future of the country too much to do that. So I do not think it's likely that he's going to do that. You know, I did want to bring up, and I've spent a lot of time on this show talking about the key electoral states. And there's a poll that came out today in the New York Times, a very extensive poll. And if you look at their methodology, they were really smart about the way they went about this. And they polled voters in 6 states. Now, Ohio is not included, but Arizona and North Carolina, of course, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan are included. And they polled 3,000 people across those states. And they have a chart within that poll that shows how each of the 3 front runners for the Democrats fare against Donald Trump. And folks, this race is a lot closer than what a lot of people are leading you to believe. The national polls mean nothing. It doesn't matter what's going on at a national level. it comes down to these states. And when you look at these states, Joe Biden is the only Democrat who is leading almost across the board in 5 of the 6 states. Warren has significant problems against Trump in these states, as does Bernie Sanders. And this needs to be a wake-up call to the Democrats. If the Democrats nominate somebody that is too far to the left and too progressive, they are going to lose this election in the Electoral College to Donald Trump, and people are going to wake up the day after Election Day in an absolute state of shock that'll make 2016 look like a warm-up lap.
And so I asked this question to Brian last week in kind of a more or less private conversation, but I said, I don't understand why Trump even tried to go after Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. I didn't think that he actually needed to go after Hunter Biden. I don't think he needed to get dirt on Joe Biden, with the whole Ukrainian scandal, to win the election in 2020. I thought that he kind of had it in the bag, but you think I'm incorrect in that statement?
Well, I do. I think that he has significant problems running against Joe Biden, and I think that they've known that for a significant period of time, that Biden was a substantial, one of the, if not the most substantial threat to Donald Trump in 2020. And, Nixon didn't need to break into the headquarters either. I mean, he had that election in the bag. None of that was necessary. And he was not nearly in as precarious of a situation as Donald Trump is as it relates to 2020. So, look, and I tweeted this out. I think at this point, the Democrats, my party has a 50-50 shot of screwing this thing up. They're notorious for screwing up national elections and throwing them away. And look, I think they got a 50-50 shot of screwing this up. And if they nominate somebody other than Joe Biden, they're going to do great in California and New York and some of these other liberal hotbeds, but they're going to lose a number of the states that they have to win in order to win the election. And if they nominate someone like Elizabeth Warren, for instance, who I like quite a bit, don't get me wrong, or Bernie Sanders, same thing relating to Bernie Sanders. But it's not about nominating the person that would make the best president, not for this election. It's about nominating the person that has the best shot of beating Donald Trump. And I could envision a scenario where Warren or Sanders could win the popular vote by 6 or 6.5 million people and still lose the election due to the Electoral College.
Michael, let me play devil's advocate a little bit here. Do you think there is a possibility, though, that regardless of whoever the Democratic nominee would be, whether it was Biden, Sanders, or Warren, that we are in a position in this country right now where even no matter what the ideology is of Bernie Sanders, who is a Democratic socialist, or Elizabeth Warren, who wants, what would be considered, very drastic measures as far as Medicare for all, things like that, that person, if they are the Democratic nominee, always get pulled to the center, don't they? It seems to me that in our country, it always ends up being the case where, whether it would be one of those 3 candidates, that they would somehow be pulled towards the center.
I think that's true sometimes, but the problem is that the die has been cast. Bernie Sanders cannot change the narrative around his existence and what he's all about overnight. Because he's so entrenched as being who he is, which, again, I don't think is a bad thing. I'm just talking about what it's going to take to win an election.
Right.
The same thing as it relates to Elizabeth Warren. Sometimes you're so far left or you're so far right that no matter what you do, no matter how you try to change your messaging, you're not going to be able to get back into the center. And then, of course, we have some Democrats that argue that, no, the Democrats need to nominate somebody that has a bold vision, that has a new progressive agenda that get people excited, so you'll boost turnout in these states. And I understand that argument, but, I've been hearing, for instance, that the youth vote was going to turn out for 30 years. Every 4 years I hear the same thing, that, no, this is going to be the election where the young people are going to actually turn out and they're going to vote in the presidential election. And you know what? It never happens. Now, maybe it's going to happen this time around because the future is so dark if Donald Trump is reelected. I hope they do turn out. But I've been hearing the same argument for the better part of 30 years. And the other thing that argument does not take into account is it doesn't take into account the flip side.
Right.
Perhaps there's going to be more Republicans or more moderates that will turn out to vote against a Bernie Sanders or an Elizabeth Warren than they otherwise would turn out to vote against, let's say, Joe Biden. So I think the Democrats really need to come to grips with what this polling data looks like in the key states. And they need to understand that while they may want a revolution, while they may want a progressive, this is not the election to put forward that candidate.
Joining us on the line, attorney Michael Avenatti. I promised I would get back to the phone lines. We got a lot of people waiting patiently on hold. Let's start off with Matt. Matt, you're on with Michael Avenatti. Go ahead.
What's up, fellas?
Hi.
Hey, point I wanted to make is around the whole narrative that, this is about the phone call. And, isn't it a conspiracy, with the whole thing with Giuliani and all of the shadow, foreign policy that was happening? Isn't there some, ability to make it a broader crime than simply, make it about the phone call and the whistleblower and, and then on top of that, what about obstruction of justice and contempt of Congress for ignoring the subpoenas?
Good question, Matt. Michael, what do you say to that?
So we touched on the subpoenas earlier, but your point relating to could there be additional criminal charges that could be brought against Giuliani or others, I agree. Of course, the belief is that the president cannot be indicted while in office. I don't agree with that belief. It's never been tested in the courts. It may be touched on, actually, by the Supreme Court if they take review of this case that just came out of the Second Circuit that we were talking about. But people like Rudy Giuliani and others that are not an elected president could very well face potential criminal charges, conspiracy, fraud, money laundering, and the like, relating to what has gone on here. I think that is a distinct possibility.
Number to call again if you have a question for Michael Avenatti, 257-5396. Again, 702-257-5396.
So Trump is, he has the negative things going on right now. Obviously, the impeachment inquiry, the testimony coming out, the entire transcript taking place. But on the positive side of things, there were 300,000 jobs added to the market last month, 75,000 more than estimated, and the stock market's at an all-time high. Do you think that all of this will overshadow the positive going on right now in America, Michael?
Well, I think the negative has a tendency to overshadow the positive, regardless of the situation. I do think that there's going to be more emphasis paid on the negative. And look, the economy for a lot of people is doing very, very well, and the economy for many additional people is not doing so well. I've seen various polls that show that, anywhere from 50 to 70% of Americans do not believe the economy is helping them more than it was, let's say, 4 years ago, that they're not better off than they were 3 or 4 years ago. I think that's a key statistic. But I'm going to go back to what I said last week. The problem for Trump is the guy doesn't really know how to win. I mean, he talks a lot about winning and how much winning he accomplishes, but he doesn't know how to win. If he would stay off Twitter and keep his mouth shut and stop engaging with the press and stop engaging on so much of this nonsense, he'd be polling a lot better in my view. But he's incapable of doing that. I mean, thankfully, at least from my perspective.
I tend to agree with you. Again, that number to call.
Yeah, us too.
Again, that number to call 257-5396. Let's go to Yvonne. Yvonne, you're next on the Vegas Take. What you got for Michael?
What's up, Yvonne?
How you doing
Ivan,
today,
I'm
Michael?
sorry. Ivan, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey,
no problem. How you doing today, Michael?
Good. How are you, Ivan?
Good. I was just wondering why you didn't press Trump more on the Stormy Daniels. I mean, we as regular Americans, if something like that happened to us, we got to go through it. We're making it special.
All right, Michael, go ahead and respond to that. Thank you, Ivan.
Well, I don't think a lot of people can claim that I wasn't aggressive enough as it relates to the Stormy Daniels litigation.
Yeah.
I was about as aggressive as you could possibly be, and I think that's why that case got so much traction and stayed in the news for as long as it was and proved to be as problematic as it was for the president. So I think in that regard, we did a really good job. We got a couple adverse rulings from the district court judge out of Los Angeles that I obviously to this day disagree with. And that case could have gone far differently had he, for instance, early on ordered a deposition of the President of the United States, had I had a chance to depose Donald Trump, who knows where we might be as it relates to that case, and who knows where we might be as it relates to impeachment. But, of course, that did not happen. The judge did not permit that deposition, and ultimately Donald Trump and Michael Cohen put their tails between their legs, and they went home. They basically agreed that the NDA was null and void, which, frankly, they should have done that immediately when we filed the case. I thought the odds were 50-50 that they were going to do it right after we filed the case. Thankfully for us, they did not, which allowed us a toehold and to really make something out of that. Ultimately, Michael Cohen was convicted on multiple criminal charges, including charges relating to the hush money payment. So, I think we were as aggressive as we possibly could have been. And I think that, but for a couple rulings, who knows where we might be today.
All right, number to call again, 257-5396, joined by Michael Avenatti. Let's go to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you're next with Michael. Go ahead.
Hi, Michael. I want you to put on your other professional helmet and talk about your tweet this morning about Mr. Penske buying the Speedway.
Okay, Michael, explain to us what that's all about.
Well, I've been a fan of racing and was involved in racing for many, many years. I'm a racing motorsports enthusiast. I have been going to the Indianapolis 500 for a long time, have been to that track on many occasions. It's a remarkable, special place for anybody that's into racing and motorsports. And this morning it was announced that Roger Penske, whose politics I do not agree with, but I have an enormous amount of respect for him and what he's done in the racing and motorsports community, the great success that he's had, and he's built a world-class organization. He is purchasing the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar, the series of open-wheel racing here in the United States, and I'm excited about that because I think that's going to be a great development for racing. A lot of people forget that, way back when, open-wheel racing, kart is what it was called at the time, that was the leading race series in America. I mean, it was hands and above even more popular than NASCAR. And they had a bunch of embroiled infighting, which ultimately led to NASCAR kind of taking over the role of racing in America in many ways. But I'm excited for the sport. I'm excited for Indianapolis and the Motor Speedway. And I think it's going to be great for the city, and I think it's going to be great for America.
Michael, I find it fascinating, though, considering, look, your political viewpoint wouldn't necessarily, from a person, on the outside looking in to you, I wouldn't think that, your ideology would line up with a lot of the people that are in the racing world. Like, a lot of those people come from backgrounds and have ideas regarding politics that would be absolutely contradictory to your viewpoint. Am I wrong on that, Michael?
No, I think you're right about that, but I'm a lot more moderate than most people think that I am. People think that because I've been so anti-Trump and I've been so combative with Trump and so aggressive that I'm incredibly far to the left, and I'm really not. I'm very moderate. I'm left of center. There's no question about that, but I'm not that left of center, and I think people have a misconception about me because I have been so anti-Trump, and I'm going to continue to be anti-Trump. I don't think at the end of the day Trump has done the Republican Party, for instance, any favors, and I think that their undying devotion to him is ultimately going to be a problem. But, I'm excited for Indianapolis and that Motor Speedway. I have a lot of great memories from that race and going to that race, and I think it's going to be great for the sport.
So going back to politics here, what are your thoughts, Michael, on Beto O'Rourke announcing a few days ago that he was leaving the presidential race? Right decision?
There's no question it was the right decision. I wrote an op-ed back in September. I was very critical of Beto O'Rourke's decision to run, that he was not the candidate because he's not a guy that likes to get his uniform dirty. And I also predicted exactly what happened, which is, once he got in a primary field and once he had to take some shots, that he wasn't going to know how to react. And you saw that in the first debate. I mean, as soon as somebody took the fight to him, this guy was a deer in the headlights. He's not the candidate to run against Donald Trump by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I thought all along that he would get eaten alive. Strategically, I think he made a number of mistakes. I think that he should have immediately decided upon losing the Senate race, i.e. within weeks. He should have announced his candidacy for the presidency. He went on that fog drive or whatever the hell he discussed it. where he was trying to find himself. I thought that was a little kooky and didn't serve him well. And I think he waited too long to get in the race. I think he should have gotten the race by the first week of December and used a lot of that momentum. And I think he lost that. I think the Vanity Fair piece was a big mistake. Obviously, the quote that he was, quote, born to be in it. I'm sure that he wishes that he had that back. But look, he's not a serious enough of a candidate, frankly, to go up against Donald Trump. The skateboarding in the Whataburger parking lot and all of the other nonsense, that's all fun. It gets a lot of attention on social media, but people don't want a president of the United States that's riding a skateboard through a Whataburger's parking lot.
That's true.
I'm sorry. And that kind of person is not the kind of person that's going to go up against Donald Trump. So I think he made the right decision. And I hope that there's some other Democrats in the race that also agree to get out of the race because they're sucking up resources and dollars that could otherwise be used to defeat Donald Trump.
I agree with you, and I know a lot of other Democrats would agree with you on that as well. What do you make of Donald Trump? You know what happened in the World Series, getting booed by, it appeared, at least half the crowd at the Nationals game. And now the Nationals, at least a few, are saying that they are not going to visit the president at the White House. And then you have Don Jr., Biff, your buddy Biff, along with Kimberly Guilfoyle and the president attending the UFC fight over the weekend. Large amounts of boos there as well. And then the excuse I hear from some people is, well, that was New York. What do you expect? And then in Washington, well, that was Washington. What do you expect? Michael, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall Barack Obama ever being booed like that pretty much anywhere in his 8 years as president.
Yeah, I don't know if he was or he wasn't. I don't recall it. It's possible that he was, but not to the same degree. But look, I'm convinced that it was probably Biff's idea to have his father come to a UFC match, and they thought that would be, his crowd. And I'm 100% convinced that was Don Jr.'s idea. And I don't think it played as well as they were hoping that it would. And I think that's why you saw Biff sending out tweet after tweet after tweet trying to combat this argument that his father had been booed the night before. I mean, I think he sent out 10 tweets about it, or some big number. But, I don't think it went over as well as he had hoped. But look, I mean, if they really want to draw a crowd for a UFC fight, I don't understand why Biff keeps ducking me. I mean, let's have this boxing match. I mean, let's get after it.
Set it up.
Let's do it. Can you imagine the amount of money we could raise for charity and the amount of attention that we could bring to some good causes? I mean, I think that'd be a lot of fun. We need to do it.
Yeah, listen. And clearly he's interested in that type of thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously. And Don Jr., by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he wimp out on The View? Wasn't he supposed to attend The View
today
with Kimberly Guilfoyle, and he kind of wussed out on that, Michael?
Yeah, I had not heard that. But, I mean, look, this guy has been, he's been ducking things his entire life, while he's had a silver spoon in his mouth and his gold toilet under his ass. I mean, this guy has accomplished nothing in his life, and he loves to pop off in, echo chambers, loves to go on Hannity and other shows, but he doesn't want to be confronted with anyone that actually will debate him or disagree with him, et cetera. He's a keyboard warrior on Twitter. And that's one of the reasons why he's refused to make any appearance with me publicly and debate any of these issues or any of the things that he likes to accuse me of and others on Twitter.
Well, Michael, we have a golden toilet set for you when you're in studio here Wednesday. We look forward to that. In a few days, Michael will be here in studio, and plenty to talk about with him in a few days, that's for sure. Michael, I always appreciate it when you take some time out of your busy day to join us, and we look forward to seeing you here in Las Vegas Wednesday, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Michael.
See you guys in a couple days.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
There you go. Attorney Michael Avenatti, and I really do look forward to him coming in studio because he brings it. He certainly brings it when we chat with him on the phone, but when he's in studio, it's a different animal. And you know what? If you are a Republican out there right now, and you are a politician, and you want to debate Michael Avenatti, and you are a conservative or a Republican, and you want an opportunity to debate him mano a mano, I want you to email our producer right now. It is producer@thevegastake.com. Again, that email is producer@thevegastake.com. If you're a conservative out there listening, maybe you're a politician, email our producer, pitch our producer, and perhaps we will give you an opportunity to debate Michael face-to-face. I'll tell you, there's a lot of cowards out there, a lot of people on the right that are not willing to do so.
Well, here's the problem. When you attack someone digitally, and you won't stick up, you won't add substance to what you're saying and give them a chance to respond to you, that makes you, what? A coward.
All right, well, we'll see if anybody responds to that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to be joined by one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. That is Showtime Shawn Porter. A lot to get to with him. Chris Wynn in studio as well. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Tape.
Alan Dershowitz is speaking out against Nancy Pelosi's impeachment. Dershowitz is on Newsmax TV every night this week at 8 p.m. Eastern. He's exposing the war on Trump. See Alan with hosts like Mike Huckabee, Bill O'Reilly, Michelle Malkin, and more. Find Newsmax TV on DirecTV, Xfinity, Dish, Spectrum, Fios, Optimum, and Uverse. Newsmax is the fastest-growing news channel in America. If you don't get Newsmax, call your cable company. Tell them you want Newsmax TV. It's real news for real people.
Hey, my friend's company spent 3 days cleaning up an email phishing attack that targeted several dozen employees.
Yeah, if just one malicious email slips through, an attack can spread quickly and do serious damage.
What if that happens to us?
Don't worry, we have Barracuda Forensics and Incident Response.
So we're good?
Yes. With fast automated response and remediation, all traces of the attack can be removed in less than 5 minutes.
Wow, that's a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda. Your journey secured.
Hey guys, hear what the kids are saying about Infinity, the Math Institute.
Going to Infinity is a lot different than school because the faculty and staff in Infinity are a lot more one-to-one on you. They don't just care about getting the work done. They're about trying to change your life.
So before I went to Infinity, I had an F. I now have a B+, so it really helped me a lot with math. I like going to school now because it's easier for me. It's like not a struggle.
Infinity is a place where you learn new techniques, not only for math, but for life as well. It's also a great place to meet new people and make a lot of different friends who share the same qualities as you, and you just get a whole new experience.
It's different because if they have like questions or problems, you can talk to someone if you need that help.
Call Infinity, the Math Institute at 702-768-1777. That's 768-1777. Infinity, the Math Institute. Don't get more math problems, get solutions.
We want to take a moment to thank you, our community, for always supporting our efforts at the Shade Tree Shelter. The Shade Tree offers safe shelter for homeless and abused women and children. We help about 15 families a day, 6,500 families per year, and we can't do that without you. If you want to get involved and volunteer at the Shade Tree, please email us at volunteer@theshadetree.org. And if you want more information, check out our website at theshadetree.org. Thanks again to our wonderful Las Vegas community.
Kilmeade, Hannity, Levin. 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas. A Beasley Media Group station.
Release transcripts. McDonald's fires its CEO. I'm Mike Moss. Transcripts from impeachment inquiry interviews with key figures in the Ukraine case are being released today and more tomorrow. In the case of former State Department Senior Advisor Michael McKinley, correspondent Manu Raju reports they show internal concern about the administration seeking help from Ukraine to investigate the Bidens.
He raises some serious concerns about what he views as the politicization of the State Department, something he said was engaging and something that he had never seen in his career, raising those concerns about the role that Rudy Giuliani played in pursuing those investigations that could help the president politically as it came to Ukraine.
Inquiry Chairman Adam Schiff says the transcripts show something else.
Contrary to the claims of the president and his acolytes on the Hill, that these have been proceedings in which the Republicans have not been able to be present or ask questions. In fact, Republicans were present for all of these depositions. And in fact, they had equal opportunity with Democrats to ask questions. And you will see they took full advantage of those opportunities to ask questions.
McDonald's has sacked its CEO, Steve Easterbrook, for having an affair with another company employee. Correspondent Christina Alessi reports.
It didn't matter that it was a consensual relationship, and it didn't matter that he was divorced. What mattered to McDonald's was the fact that he violated this policy that clearly says that you're not to have a relationship with anyone who is a direct report or an indirect report, and that's where it seems that Steve Easterbrook, the former CEO now of McDonald's, seems to have had the problem.
The Marine Band played Baby Shark, the theme for the Washington Nationals in their World Series winning season. The team is being honored at the White House at this hour. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 113, S&P up 13, the Nasdaq up 53. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Watch for slowing for the crash on the 215 Southern Beltway westbound near Green Valley Parkway in the East Valley, and also an accident on Sahara eastbound near Las Vegas Boulevard. Injury sustained. Police and fire are with the scene. No delays to report if you're on I-15 right now, north and southbound between the Spaghetti Bowl and the Southern Beltway. Liberty Mutual Insurance customizes your coverage so you only pay for what you need. Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote, and you could save. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Blue Emu Lidocaine Cream and Blue Emu Maximum Arthritis Cream both are deep penetrating and odor-free. Beat the pain 2 ways and live life. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink. Available at nationwide retailers.
This is Harry Jacobs from Credit Restoration of Nevada, inviting you to join me for the Credit Show, Saturday mornings between 9 and 10, here on the new 101.5 FM and 720 AM.
Hi, it's Sam.
Hey, it's Ash, and we're Sam and Ash, your personal injury attorneys.
An accident is incredibly stressful. Handling an insurance claim, totally overwhelming.
Also, the insurance companies have zero interest in giving their money to you, because honestly, that just cuts into their profits.
Our team is in your corner because you deserve what's right, and that's full compensation for your injuries.
So call us 24/7 at 1-800-304-2000 or visit samandash.com.
Sam and Ash.
What's right?
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Tuscany Suites and Casino is the place to be Fridays in November. Come in and take part of their Tuscany turkey drawings held at 2:15 and 6:15 p.m. They'll have 10 winners every Friday, and you could win up to $1,000 in free slot play. Just earn 250 points on slots or 25 table points by playing your favorite games every day. Earn 2 times tickets every Tuesday. See Players Club for details. Tuscany Suites and Casino is located just 2 blocks from the Strip, between Koval and Paradise on Flamingo, where parking is always free.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Tina Trenner is back, and she's on 720 AM, 101.5 FM, KDWN every Sunday at 12:30 p.m. She's sick of the nonsense and has something to say every Sunday at 12:30 p.m.
3 years ago, my mom, my sweetheart, who had type 2 diabetes, died of heart disease. We didn't know that if you have diabetes, you are 2 to 4 times more likely to develop cardiovascular disease. And what's truly shocking to me is that millions of people living with diabetes aren't aware of their increased risk for heart disease. What will it take to sink in? If you have type 2 diabetes, know your risk of heart disease. Know your risk of heart disease. Know your risk of heart disease. Be good to yourself and those you love by knowing your risk. Heart disease and diabetes are linked. No matter how you have to hear it, please listen. Because the sooner you know your heart disease risk, the more you and your doctor can do about it. Go to foryoursweetheart.com.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Las Vegas's only FM news talk station is right here. The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, Chris Wynn in studio here as well on a Monday, also streaming live on the Vegas Take YouTube page. As we speak, you can see our mugs right now. I certainly have a face for radio. I've heard that one before. Coming up here in just a minute, we'll be joined by Showtime Shawn Porter, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world. And as I mentioned myself, I was at the Canelo fight over the weekend at MGM Grand. And, it was wasn't a horrible fight. I thought the first 5 or 6 rounds kind of a little bit of a snooze fest, and I thought Kovalev was winning the fight. I really did, and a lot of people that were sitting, I was sitting pretty close to the ring, and a lot of people that were boxing insiders. I wouldn't consider myself a boxing insider by any stretch, but a lot of people agreed that it was a fairly close fight, but a lot of people had Kovalev winning the fight, and then all of a sudden he goes down in the 11th round, TKO, and Canelo wins another one. And are they setting it up for possibly a Triple G rematch? That I don't know, but you have to give Canelo credit where credit is due. He's won in 4 different weight classes, 4 different divisions. It is extremely impressive. So the guy joining us in studio right now, he is the champ himself. This man who's been on the show before, he has 30 wins and 3 losses, and he's a 2-time welterweight world champion, having held the WBC title from 2018 to 2019, previously the IBF title from 2013, 2014. And of course, I want to talk to him about the fight he had just a little bit over a month ago against Spence Jr. The man himself, Showtime Shawn Porter. Showtime.
What's up, my man?
Thanks for being here, man. How are you?
Listen, man, I'm sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
I was working. I don't have a job, but I was at the track working out. So
it's good to see you. It's always good to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Man, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was really elated to see your text message when you text me. So thanks for.
I appreciate that. You're one of the nicest guys I know. I mean that 100%.
Yeah, no.
So there's so much to talk to you about. I want to talk about your fight you had last month, and it was a great fight.
Thank you.
Before we get to that, something controversial in the sport of boxing. I'm sure you heard about this. I was at the Canelo fight over the weekend.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to watch the fight?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so what do you make of them forcing everybody, including the fighters and the people in the crowd, to wait an hour and a half to the end for the end of the UFC fight? Isn't that an embarrassment to the sport of boxing?
It's ridiculous, and I was reading about it last night. CEO of UFC, he said it plain and simple, and I believe him. He said, I told Oscar De La Hoya, I warned him that I was going to do a show on this night and not to do it, and it should have been taken care of from there. That's bad business. It leaves but it's a bad impression on the sport of boxing.
I mean, have you ever seen anything like that before?
Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. I mean,
what would you do as a fighter, as a professional boxer like yourself? You have to wait there for an extra hour and a half. I would imagine you've had some fights before yours that went the distance and took a while. But this is a different circumstance. There's nobody in the ring, right?
If there was absolutely nothing going on and I wasn't in the ring doing what I was being paid to do, I would have an extremely big problem with that. And I'm sure Canelo has had some conversations with his promoter since that fight.
How do they allow that to happen? I know this DAZN. Have you heard of this company? DAZN, I mean, I've never even heard of them before.
Yeah, I mean, that's the separation there. I mean, if it's network television, you can't do that. You can't stop the show.
Right.
But this is paid internet, whatever.
And this is one of the biggest fights of the year. You had one last month too. But this is a Canelo Alvarez fight.
This was a big move for Canelo, moving up to 175 pounds.
Thank you. Yes.
This was a big deal. That alone. Nevertheless, he's going against Kovalev, known as the Crusher. So this was big. So I think because of that, Oscar's like, we can't let the show go on. But nevertheless, they should not have prevented this fight from going on. It should have happened, and you should just be able to compete. You put yourself in line to compete.
Right.
Now you got to do it.
Yeah. As a fighter, I'm sure you have a pretty specific routine. But when you look at I looked at the video, and Kovalev's laying down. He's taking a nap. Canelo's laying back with his arms, just basically out.
And if you see
spread eagle, what does that do for your psyche? Or I mean, how hard does it make it, to get up for that fight when you're waiting like that?
The cool part about it is that's what we do in boxing. We adjust, so you're being told what's going on, and now you just have to adjust and accept it. You can't get emotionally distraught or messed up. You can't complain, because what's complaining going to do? You're going to go on with how they have prepared things at this point. So I liked what I saw Canelo do. Canelo was warming up, getting ready for the fight. He was told that the fight wasn't going to happen. He relaxed, pulled it back just a little bit, and then just before the show got ready to go on again, he got up, got that sweat moving again, which is what you should be doing. So I think Canelo handled it the way he was supposed to. But, hey, I personally think that the fight was boring for 11.
I agree.
11 and a half rounds.
Let's talk about that. I agree.
Until the knockout, I thought the fight was boring. Now, let's say that intermission doesn't happen. Does the fight play out?
Maybe it's a better fight. That's a very good point. Okay, so let's talk about the actual fight. But before we get there, one more question. I think this sets a dangerous precedent, but they received a lot of backlash for that weight. So do you see this probably not happening again, or can you see this in the future? It could happen.
It has never happened before.
Yeah.
I mean, to the best of my knowledge, not on such a large scale.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying there hasn't been a promoter that wants to compete against another promoter on the same night. I mean, just recently they did Terence Crawford fought the same night as another show. But the timing was different,
better,
and so it worked out.
Right, sure.
But you usually don't see that, especially when the magnitude of the fight is so big.
Yeah, there's never been a premier boxing event like this being dictated by something that's not even another boxing event.
Absurd.
And by the way, as
Exactly.
you pointed out, it wasn't even in Vegas. It wasn't like it was at the MGM Grand Garden Arena and then at the T-Mobile.
Yeah.
We're talking about something
Madison
completely
Square
across
Garden,
the country that was dictating what happened with the fight.
We all agree.
It was
Completely
ridiculous.
absurd.
It was ridiculous. Yeah.
So let's talk about the actual fight. First of all, and as you know, Canelo Alvarez winning in a knockout early in the 11th round against Kovalev. Now, I thought Kovalev was winning the fight, and there were some people there that thought the fight was extremely close. The judges thought it was extremely close, but here's something I don't understand. I'm not even sure Canelo threw more than 2 or 3 punches in the first round.
couple rounds,
and 2 of the 3 judges gave him the first round.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay,
Are you
Showtime.
serious?
Yes,
That is
Showtime.
true.
Showtime. How the hell does that happen?
Oh my God!
How does that happen?
I did not know that.
Yes.
I would have assumed across the board. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything, but I saw Kovalev win the first 4 rounds.
Right.
If the judges gave any judges gave Canelo any of those first at least 4 rounds,
They did.
You got to question the judging, man. You got to question who that is watching the fight. I mean, were they
Listen,
80-year-old?
You
judges?
know
Or did
how
they-
much money Canelo brings to the
Yeah.
sport.
Or
But
would
with
they
that,
have a different incentive?
Everyone says you have to knock Canelo out in order to beat him. And I really do think that Mayweather caught him at the very, very best time that he could have caught
early in his career.
Canelo. Early on in his career. At that point, everything was working for him, so it was like, why change? I'm gonna go in there against Mayweather as a dog. It didn't work out the way he wanted it to, but as you can see, ever since that fight, he's never been the same fighter. And so,
he's much bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get into the whole tainted meat stuff here, but I think we all know that was a load of crap. I'm just going to say that. It was a load of crap. He cheated.
Better you say it than me.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't want to put you in that spot, but
Yeah.
he is very large now.
He is.
And he lost a lot of credibility.
And he's not just large; he's wide.
Yes.
he's wide and he's bulky.
Yeah.
And there's something to that.
I want to go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you guys. I've never done anything, and I've really never been around anyone that does anything.
But you're
so,
a really
the fact that he said he's wide.
Yeah.
He used the word wide and he used the word bulky, and those aren't just normal terms that you would use for someone who's weightlifting and gaining weight.
Right.
So,
I want to look like a boxer. I'm going to put my sunglasses back on. I'm like I just had a
You
fight.
look like
I don't have sunglasses on, by the way.
You look
But
like
you're
a
looking
blind
good,
man.
Showtime. You're looking good. All right, so moving forward now with Canelo, and then I want to get to obviously your career and a lot of other things in boxing. But who do you think is next for Canelo?
You know what? I don't know. Right after the fight, I looked over at my dad, and we are big Andre Ward fans. And my dad said, I would love to see Dre come back and whoop him.
He beat up Kovalev pretty good.
I do agree with my dad that we both think that Andre
Great
Ward
fight.
could come in and it would be a really great fight.
That would be an amazing fight. So I want to talk to you about some tragedies that have taken place, obviously, in your sport. We've lost 4 fighters have lost their lives in the last year. And we had a trainer that came on. I believe it was Terence Crawford's trainer,
We
right?
had Red Spikes.
Yeah.
Terence
So
Crawford's one of his coaches, one of his 2 coaches.
So we asked Red Spikes, we
3
said,
coaches.
what do you think is causing these deaths all of a sudden to happen? I mean, we know boxing is a very violent, dangerous sport. We know that.
Yeah.
But with that being said, why 4 deaths in the last year? And he came up with a reason that he think could be problematic, and that is steroid use and some of these fighters using performance-enhancing drugs. Now, I have no proof of that. I don't know what his proof is. So I ask you the same question. Why have we lost 4 fighters in the last year?
So I'm going to do this. I hadn't thought of this until you just said it, but we have 4 deaths. You take a look at what are the common denominators in those 4 deaths. I have not done it yet. However, I was just in Cancun, Mexico with the WBC at their convention, and I told the president that I would like to be a part of whatever committee is helping make this sport safer. And he said, you got it, champ. So right now I'm in the process of making an email, creating an email for the WBC that are going to be a few of the adjustments or changes that I think could help the safety of the sport. But I can talk directly to the situation with Patrick Day because I was a little.
He was the
closer
last
to
fighter who lost his life.
and I was a little closer to that situation. So we find out that he had a really, really grueling 10-round fight about a month before his very last fight. Right after that fight, I found out that he was in 2 different training camps with world championship fighters, sparring with those guys. So you come out of a really, really grueling fight, and then you get back into some, maybe it's not grueling training, but you get into some really, really high-end training when your body's not ready for it, and then you take a big fight, and the worst has happened.
Yeah.
So I told President is I think at the end of the day, no one wants to take responsibility for these fighters after the fight. Every promoters, they're putting all of the insurance and all the promotion into it, but then after that fight, all of the hands off. We don't see the same doctor again. We don't see the same coaches again. We don't see the same trainers, managers, anything until the next fight.
So isn't this the responsibility of a lot of people that were around him, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It really does. It starts with who's around you, your family, friends, coaches, managers, all of them should say, man, that was a tough fight. Take some time off.
Well, one thing Red Spike stated was that every single performance-enhancing drug law is different in each state, and so a lot of these boxers that are dying, I mean, it's happening not in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And he says that there should be a consistent law across the country. Do you agree with that?
The people that in boxing that are smart, that's what everyone's saying. The people in boxing who want great change, we're all saying we need a union. We need one voice, one face, one reason, one law, and we don't have that right now. You can go to Mississippi, and the only thing you need for Mississippi is just I'm not saying that this is the protocol, but the only thing you may need in Mississippi is just a normal physical. You go to New York, you need a CT scan. You come here and you need a MRI scan as well as the CT scan. So everyone's different, and everybody needs to be the same. Everyone needs to be on the same accord. And I think right now it's just a matter of money. It's a matter of power, and it's a matter of basically demonstrating I have the best law, and fighting is the best in my state.
Well, it's consistent with the NFL, with the NBA, with Major League Baseball. Why would it not be for boxing?
I think the biggest problem with boxing right now is the way boxing grew. I think it grew very, choose my words carefully. It grew in a bad way. A bad way. You replace that word bad with whatever you want to replace it with. But the other sports, none of them even had a chance to be bad. They started off on a good foot, on a good way.
Well, they started off as an organization.
Yeah, exactly. And I think boxing is just so far away from being one organization that it's just going to take a very long time to get there. But the fact of the matter is, we're seeing those deaths. We're seeing these really bad instances where guys are being having concussions, and they're all of that kind of stuff. Where now I'm myself, and I'm taking it into my responsibility, saying I don't want to see this anymore. And I'm gonna get some other fighters behind me, and so on and so forth, and it will be better.
Especially with, I'm sure you knew Patrick Day personally.
Yeah,
he was a college graduate.
Yeah,
I mean, he was
smart guy.
He was a very smart guy. He was an exceptionally good shape. And I watched that fight, and I'm sure you watched the fight too. But the hit he took in the 8th round, that fight should have been called at that point.
Yeah,
you agree?
I agree. I think I think a lot of times, so one thing my dad has always said is the most dangerous person to a fighter is himself. A lot of times we don't know when to say stop. A lot of times we don't know how to quit. We have this warrior mentality, this God complex where we think we are invincible. And I think that, again, we have to also look at everyone who's surrounding Patrick Day and these other fighters as well. But we all have to take responsibility, not just of ourselves, but of one another. My dad and the whole team. Everybody is responsible for one another,
right?
And that's how we operate as the kind of team that we operate as. I mean, we're gonna get into this fight with Errol Spence, but you say, Shawn, like, how were you able to do it? And I'm gonna point to the guys right behind me because they got me there. You know what I mean? Of course, I was the one in there doing everything, but those guys got me there.
Let me ask you this: as a professional fighter and one of the best on the planet at your craft, how does that affect you? Obviously, you lose one of your friends that you're close to. It would affect you like it would affect anybody else. You go through the grieving process and all that.
Right.
But just from a professional standpoint, do you think about this at all as you're entering the ring? And I know you probably don't want to, but you think, wow, this could be my last fight, God forbid. Does that enter your mind, the fact that we've lost 4 fighters in the last year?
We all know the risk. We all know what can happen. it's up to us as the athletes to do everything we can do to make sure we're safe in the ring. The funny thing is, not funny, but the thing is, I'm blessed enough to have a style that is very offensive, but it keeps guys off of me as well. So
sure.
It's like I was describing to somebody the other day. I'm like, I perform things, I do things in the ring that, they may be grueling and hard to do, but they also keep me safe in the ring.
Right.
When I got a guy up against the ropes, and you may say, well, why don't you create distance and stop smothering your shots? Well, while I'm smothering my shots, I'm keeping him off of me as well. I'm preventing him from using any offense as well. So a lot of times, at the end of the day, we all know the risks, but we all know what to do to keep ourselves safe in the ring. So it doesn't really enter my mind. Of course, I know what can happen. This situation with Patrick Day, after 3 others, was at this point, I was like, I'm not going to just grieve for this dude for 2 weeks and then move on. I can't continue to do that. And that's when I was like, I got to do more to make sure that this sport is safer.
So we just had a caller call in. He didn't want to go on the air, but he's making the point that he believes deaths could be related to making weight. Do you believe that? How do you feel about that?
So each death, there's something different with each death. I mean, when I just pointed out with Patrick Day, I do think that it was a matter of all of the impact that he had been taking prior to that fight that really was the result of what happened to him. I think some fighters do lose too much weight in a short amount of time. They end up in the ring dehydrated. They end up, even if they leave the ring, they leave the ring and they're urinating blood. They're dizzy in the back room. They don't have any energy after the fight, so on and so forth. So, there are a lot of different protocols, a lot of things that I'm gonna look at, we're gonna look at in terms of making this sport safer.
You're just joining us, Showtime Shawn Porter in studio, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet. I want to talk a little bit about the fight you had in late September with Spence Jr. Of course, the IBF and WC welterweight titles were on the line. I thought you fought a hell of a fight, and I know many others would agree with me.
It was one of the best fights in the last 3 years in boxing.
And many people felt like you actually won that fight. You lost in a split decision. First of all, two-part question. How frustrating is that when you you did a hell of a fight, and you lose in a split decision, number one? And number two, why is there no talk about a rematch?
Yeah, you know what? To answer your first question, it's really, really hard for me to be frustrated because I'm so competitive. I think the competitive nature that I have makes me say, okay, well, it takes two. So he was in there doing what he had to do to win as well. And I think that he fought strong. He fought hard. I thought, I got the best of him, and I thought I won the fight. But my hand doesn't get raised, and I don't have a mentality. I don't have a heart to complain, to feel down and feel sad. I was actually talking to somebody just 2 days ago. I said, believe it or not, it was more heartbreaking for me to have my hand touch the canvas in the fight than it was for me not to have my hand raised.
He wants no part of you again.
And he really doesn't.
He does not want to get in the ring with you again.
He really doesn't. Somebody said, okay, so you've been in the ring with him. Is he really that good? Is he as good as everyone says he is? I said, oh, no. He's definitely good, but he's not better than me. And I think I showed that. I really did prove that on every level, in terms of conditioning, in terms of maneuvers and moves being made, punch selection, the whole nine. It just, the situation happens for me that I am an aggressive fighter, and sometimes I get caught with my hands down.
What was it like fighting in that venue for you?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. That was everything I thought it was going to be. So I knew I was fighting Errol Spence. Didn't know when.
Right.
So when I was happy that they finally announced the fight, but then I thought the fight was going to be in New York. So when they announced the fight, I'm getting the call that I'm fighting at the Staples. I'm like, no, I'm not fighting in Barclays. They're like, no, you're fighting at the Staples.
How cool is that?
Oh, man, the coolest thing ever. Yeah. I'm like a kid again when you tell me that I'm fighting at the Staples Center, because my first thing I'm thinking is like LeBron's playing there now. But
it's like an NBA player going to Madison Square Garden, right?
Yeah, I think about Oscar fought there.
Sure.
All the greats have fought there, legends have fought there.
Sure.
I'm fighting where Magic Johnson played, and I was like, oh,
that's
man.
Cool.
I'm going to make this the time of my life. And I really did try to enjoy every single bit of this. And I'm blessed, man, because I was able to really enjoy this fight even in the midst of fighting.
And you performed.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those things where you showed up and you didn't fight well.
Oh, no.
I mean, you performed. You fought a great fight. It was an entertaining fight.
And that's the cool part. The cool part is I didn't just show up and fight hard. Like I performed, like, you know, I was in the ring thinking and moving, and it was all coming together. You know what I mean?
And for any of the naysayers out there that thought that Spence was going to roll over you, that's exactly what did not happen.
Yeah.
So we got to take a quick break.
Yeah.
And thank you for sticking around for one
No
more
doubt.
segment.
You
I
got
know
it.
that you're a Cleveland sports fan,
Oh,
so
man.
we are going to get into that with you
take it
coming up
easy on me,
next. Okay.
please.
I will try to not talk too much about some of the Cleveland
look at
sports, but we will get to it.
Yeah.
We will get to it when we come back. He is the champ himself, Showtime Shawn Porter, joining us in studio. We'll take your phone calls too, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take.
Are you interested in owning rental properties right here in the Las Vegas area? Auction.com, the nation's leading real estate auctioneer, must sell 102 rental properties in the Las Vegas and Henderson markets. These are turnkey, income-producing single-family homes and condos with tenants and leases in place. That's right, the tenants are in place and currently paying rent on over 100 homes to be auctioned individually at auction.com/radio. Financing is available and a broker co-op is being offered for this one-time unprecedented online auction to be held November 11th through 13th. Add more rentals to your portfolio, diversify your investments to add real estate, or buy your very first real estate investment. This is an auction that can't be missed. View all homes and auction details at auction.com/radio. That's www.auction.com/radio. Auction is subject to a reserve.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
And now a message from the traffic cone you ran over on Blue Diamond last week.
Okay, ow, that hurt. I know, you're in a hurry, but I could have been killed. Look, I have a wife and a baby cone on the way. I'm out there risking it all. And for what? I'll tell you. Southern Nevada's economic future. I'm helping the I-11 get built and the Centennial Bowl. So show a cone a little love.
Love the cone. For road construction details, visit seeingorangenv.com or call 702-928-CONE. And now a message from the traffic cone you ran over on Blue Diamond last week.
Okay, ow, that hurt. I know, you're in a hurry, but I could have been killed. Look, I have a wife and a baby cone on the way. I'm out there risking it all. And for what? I'll tell you, Southern Nevada's economic future. I'm helping the I-11 get built and the Centennial Bowl. So show a cone a little love.
Love the cone. For road construction details, visit seeingorangenv.com or call 702-928-CONE.
720 on the AM, 101.5 FM. Yeah, now on FM. The only FM news talk station in Las Vegas. KDON.
Impeachment inquiry chairman Adam Schiff says 2 White House staffers today refused subpoenas to testify.
We expect the witnesses who have been subpoenaed to come in this afternoon at White House instruction also to be no-shows. This will only further add to the body of evidence on a potential obstruction of Congress charge against the president.
A transcript just out shows former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine Marie Yovanovitch told House investigators Ukrainian officials warned her in advance that Rudy Giuliani and other allies of President Trump were looking to hurt her. Milwaukee police have arrested a man suspected of throwing battery acid on an Hispanic man who says the attacker asked him, "Why did you come here and invade my country?" Police have yet to identify the 61-year-old suspect. They are investigating the case as a hate crime and expect to file charges tomorrow. On Wall Street, the Dow up about 120. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This look at traffic sponsored by Sam and Ash. So far, so good on our freeways. Also delay-free, Summerlin Parkway. Moving along, you've got a smooth ride, 215 out to about 95. Couple of wrecks to watch out for on our service streets. One of those eastbound Sahara near Las Vegas Boulevard, and a wreck on Jones and Windmill. Hurt in an accident? You deserve Sam and Ash, the injury attorneys who listen and do what's right. Call Sam and Ash 24/7 at 1-800-304-2000, 1-800-304-2000. I'm Lee Powell in the KDON Traffic Center.
Sunday nights, it's Steve Sanchez.
Wake the heck up.
Live from the undisclosed bunker studios with a Constitution in one hand and a Bible in the other. Sundays from 7 to 10 p.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever. 99 cents plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pod sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Do you know if you have enough savings to retire comfortably? If not, it's time to talk to Travis Scribner, managing partner of Westpac Wealth Partners, about developing a plan to build your wealth for the future. Visit LasVegasMoneyResource.com.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. We'll also have a dolphin chatter excitedly in front of the perfect candidate. Okay, there's no dolphin. But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Visit Indeed.com/promo today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
This is what parents are saying about Infinity, the Math Institute.
She didn't like school. She really did not like to go to math class. She would be very upset. She wouldn't do her homework. With Infinity Math, she actually listened and wanted to succeed in math.
My kids were already good in math, but now they're excellent. My husband and me, we are so happy because we see how she is interested in math and that she is always excited to go. We are so glad we made this choice to send her to Infinity.
I like Infinity because it has broadened my children's view on math because Mr. Brookhagen is an awesome teacher.
Math is everywhere. There's no reason why our kids should hate it. Infinity changed that for my kids, and imagine what they can do for you.
Call Infinity, the Math Institute, at 702-768-1777. That's 768-1777. Infinity, the Math Institute. Don't get more math problems, get solutions.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, Chris Wynn in studio as well, and always a pleasure and an honor to have one of the best fighters on the planet, Showtime Shawn Porter, in studio as well, the champ. And we were just talking, we were having a little fun off the air, talking a little bit about Floyd Mayweather, and we all agree Floyd is probably never going to get back into the ring. But, you know, he was a big money maker to the sport, right? I mean, he brought in the dollars.
I make the money I make, honestly.
People love to hate him,
guy.
and they bought the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view numbers for these fights are not what it once was when we had the Floyd Mayweathers of the world, or back in the 80s and early 90s. Why do you think that is? Do you think we need more personalities in the sport of boxing?
I think we're not seeing enough in between fights. I think that there needs to be more done. I mean, I even went to my first WWE event a couple weeks ago when they did Friday Night SmackDown out in L.A., and I was thinking to myself, like, this is what boxing needs to be, you know? And I think that, still, we kind of alluded to it earlier, but boxing is still in this bubble, and it's like, it's just taking a lot to bring it out of that bubble. But why are you living in that bubble? There's only so many eyes on you.
And it certainly doesn't help when you make the fans and the fighters wait an hour and a half to end a UFC fight before you put on one of the biggest fights on the planet. If you have a question or comment for Showtime Shawn Porter, you can give us a buzz, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Why don't we start with Andre? Andre, thanks for calling in. You're on with Showtime.
What's up, Andre?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How you doing?
Good.
Champ, what's happening, Champ?
What's happening, y'all?
You know who this is?
What's up, Nat?
This is Andre's dad.
Yeah. What's up, now?
My man.
What's up, now?
For the record, Andre, I have absolutely no idea who you are. But that's okay. Go ahead. That's all right.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Brian? Hey. Anyways, Hey, I just wanted to comment real quick, man. Hey, as you know, Sean, man, I've had the opportunity. I've been following boxing since I was 10 years old. You know, I used to work with Jill Trinidad and all them back in the day.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know, I just want to put it out there for you, man. This guy, Shawn Porter, man, is a class act. You know, there's a lot of people
I
off
agree.
the air. You know, he off the air, he's just as genuine as he is on the air. So,
I agree.
You know, good friends of mine like Trinidad, Vargas, Joel Casamayor. This guy is the most genuine guy I've ever known in my life.
And can I just, and by the way, Andre, I completely agree with you. Let me just interject and say this. There are a lot of phony people, a lot of phony promoters in the sport of boxing, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Oscar De La Hoya. I'm just going to say it right there. I think Oscar De La Hoya is a phony. I think he has plenty of issues of his own, and I think he'll say and do whatever it takes to sell tickets.
Hey, Brian, me and you don't agree in politics, but I'm going to give you that one. I agree with you 100%. But let me just go ahead and say this also. I wanted to comment on the weight issue and the tragedies that have occurred, because as somebody who actually has been kind of working in the business with some of the fighters, I remember, working with Tito back in the day, Trinidad, and, he used to balloon up to 200 pounds, man, just to come down to 154 within 3 months. And to me, it's always about how you cut that weight and how you do it. I remember being at a fight back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember 1980, Salvador Sanchez and Wilfredo Gomez from Puerto Rico in Caesar's Palace. And they fought at 126 pounds featherweight. And the last 2 ounces, Wilfredo Gomez had to cut weight by spitting.
So you think that's the dangers of making weight, Andre? I mean, do you think that? So you're saying that's
I think it's a little bit of that. I think it's how you cut the weight, but I think also the refs have a heavy responsibility in recognizing how the fighter is handling punishment for 12 rounds.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They got to really be careful on how they let them go on round by round. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Just having said that, man, I won't take too much of your time, man. Hey, Sean, good talking to you, buddy. I'll see you at church.
Yes, sir. I'll see you later.
Andre, thank you for the call. We appreciate that.
Thanks for the call, Andre.
Let me answer to that real quick. So, again, the WBC, who I personally think is the best sanctioning body in boxing, they're doing it. They're trying to do a few things. They want guys to weigh in outside of their fights. They want to monitor a guy's weight as they approach the fight.
Right. I think that's
so
smart.
even for myself, I'm sending in weights to the WBC and to different promoters along my way. Like it starts, I think, 6 weeks out from the fight. Every once a week, I'm sending a weight all the way up until that I get on the scale. Another thing they want to do is they want to initiate a weigh-in protocol just before the fight. So again, I don't know if you heard this before, but you have a lot of guys that fight at 147 pounds, but they come back to the ring the fight night at 170 pounds, 165, 170 pounds. They're trying to initiate a mandatory weigh-in before the fight. A lot of guys, if they don't make weight, they're not going to let the fight happen. Or if they don't make weight, they're gonna pull money from their
See, and the average boxing fan doesn't know about this stuff. They don't know what's going on.
Crash dieting is so bad for your body.
Yeah.
Oh, no question.
It's the worst.
So I don't want to put you in a position to talk about politics. However, I do need to talk a little bit about this.
I'll talk politics. I don't know anything about it.
So the Nationals, who obviously just won the World Series, they were just at the White House. Kurt Suzuki was wearing a MAGA hat. Ryan Zimmerman was praising Trump's policies. And as you know, this is a very divided time in politics. So what do you make of, for example, the Golden State Warriors when they won the championship? They didn't go to the White House, and they weren't the first team to do that.
It was their decision, though, right?
Yes. Nobody's forcing them, but there are some players on the Nationals that obviously went today, and there were a few that did not go. So what do you make of this time? Like, if Donald Trump invited you to the White House, would you go?
I would go. I would go because I've never been to the White House.
Exactly.
I would go because I've never met a president. So
you've never met Obama? That surprises me a little bit.
Right.
Let's say that because I'm black. What are we doing?
No, I'm saying that because you're one of the best fighters in the world, and Obama is a big sports fan.
No, I've never met a president. I've never been inside of the White House. I've seen the White House, but I've never been inside of the White House. I mean, there's a lot that goes on at the White House or with the president that goes beyond his views or what he's trying to do and initiating. If I can have just an hour to spend with the guy, and that's an hour that he's not doing anything bad to the world.
I agree with that. And this is where Chris and I disagree. And I'll let you respond to this. But I think you're missing an opportunity if you don't go. It doesn't mean you have to support the president. You don't have to go bend a knee and kiss his butt.
Yeah.
But if you have an opportunity, like you said, even if it's not an hour, even if it's just 5 minutes, to talk to him about at least one thing thing that you disagree with him on, then you could accomplish something. You could, right?
Yeah. What if I meet the president, I shake his hand, and he says something really nice and really thoughtful to me? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that think he has absolutely nothing thoughtful to say at all. I meet one person, I tell him, hey, Prez said this, he said that. Wow, I didn't think that he had that in him to do that. It may actually change the way your heart feels about the person who's leading the country.
He could spread the word in a positive way. So let's say, for example, that, and Terence Crawford actually stated recently that if he was given a contract to fight you, that he would sign that contract.
Yeah.
But so if you fought Terence Crawford, you beat him, and no one has beaten Terence Crawford, and President Trump called you and said, I want you to come to the White House. You're the new champion. You would absolutely do it.
What we doing? So, hey, what we doing?
He'd probably feed you McDonald's.
I would. I did see that. No, I would go. I would entertain that moment and that opportunity.
So, Shawn, we agree, okay? But somebody like LeBron James, who obviously can't listen. I can't stand Donald Trump too, and these people will attest to this. JD, I can't stand the man.
Yeah.
Okay, but LeBron, we agree. I agree with LeBron on a lot of things, but LeBron would never take the opportunity, he said, to sit down with that man. Steph Curry also said the same thing. I really, truly believe they're making a mistake. Chris, why do you disagree with me on that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with them, and I think like you guys are talking about policy and things that maybe you could change. Shawn mentioned, it would make your heart feel better, to know that you can sit down and actually share with them. But I'm looking at it more on a policy thing from a standpoint of the entire country. I don't think anything changes. I look at those opportunities when athletes or when teams go to visit the president. I look at it as a photo op. I look at it as a situation where there's athletes that they don't even want to be in photographs with Donald Trump. That's how much they are not fans of him as a person. So I think there's more to it than just getting a chance, like you mentioned, where I have a certain policy thing I would like to mention to the president, or an outlook or an opinion that I would like to mention to him and have him hear it. I think it's a bigger question.
And again, I mean, like if you want to bring Shawn Porter into the conversation with someone like LeBron James and Stephen Curry, who've said that they will not go to the president, to the White House to meet the president. Again, for the sake of words, there's ignorance on my behalf because I know absolutely or very little about the president at all. I don't follow his views. I don't follow what he's doing day to day, so on and so forth. So for me to say, I'll go. I mean, I'm a kid. I'm a kid that wants to go to the White House. Right. I'm having a photo op.
You're not
those
biased.
guys, I'm sure, have followed his views and his opinions and what he's doing, and they don't agree with it. I'm sure if they had it their way, they would do something to, force in a different president or something like that. So there's a lot of ignorance coming from me wanting to be there because I don't know much about the president.
But on the flip side, a guy like Sean Doolittle, who's a decent relief pitcher for the Washington Nationals, I don't think he'll ever win another World Series ring, and I don't think he'll get the opportunity to do this again. So why would he not take that opportunity?
And the reason why
again, if you disagree with the president, that's fine, but he's still the president of the United States.
Yeah. Look, it's their choice. Nobody's forcing them to go. I just think they're missing an opportunity, and I believe they're making a mistake. Okay, so we're going to talk about another very difficult subject for Showtime, and that is the Cleveland Browns.
One I know very much about.
A team that's not going to be going to the White House anytime soon to celebrate a championship.
Okay, so those of you who don't know, Showtime.
He don't know me.
No,
the lights will get cut off real quick in here.
You are going to get knocked out by Showtime Shawn Porter. You might never get up.
Especially with my Detroit Lions jersey on.
You think I didn't peep that? You think I didn't peep that?
With your Javid best.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, Showtime Shawn Porter, besides being one of the best fighters on the planet, he also is a big Cleveland sports fan.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about your Browns. Okay. So there was a lot of hype in the offseason, as you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, let's start with, this is a really weird story. Jermaine Whitehead. He's dropping death threats on social media. There are some fans that are going at him for his lack of performance on the field. He's calling people some very bad words, including cracker. He's calling the B word and some other words. He's using the N word a lot on Twitter. He's making some very ridiculous comments. What do you make of that, being a Cleveland Browns fan?
Let me say this. Do you see or hear any of that going on in the Patriots locker room?
No.
You don't?
No.
So you're telling me that as an organization, you don't know you have something like that in your locker room? Doesn't matter that he's not saying that in the locker room. His energy, his presence, and as everyone's criticizing him on the field, something's not right there, and it starts with the organization and
management,
it just trickles all the way down. And right now, there's a lot of disconnect on the field and off the field.
Why does Baker Mayfield look like a 1970s porn star with
It
a
was
mustache?
an old picture.
He's got the overcoat. He's got the
I don't know why he
cut-off
did that.
stash going. It is a brutal picture. I'm not gonna lie to you.
He cut it off. I think his wife said, "I'm not marrying you
But
until you cut
listen,
it off."
all the hype of Baker Mayfield in the offseason, how
Yeah.
good this team was going to be. You see
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield in all these commercials now, right? And listen, I get it. This is a sensitive subject for you, but I'm sure you'd be the first one to. Mayfield has not performed very well on the field, but yet he's making all this money off the field. That's got to piss you off a little bit.
It doesn't, man. He did all those shoots, all those commercials. He did that months and months and months ago. All right, he did it when he deserved it. And right now, he doesn't deserve very much.
Isn't he the Adrian Broner of professional football?
No, get out of here.
Not even
No.
close.
He performed very, very well last year.
He did,
Made
he did.
sense
He did.
that coming into this year,
That's
that
true.
expectation, not only for him,
No,
but for the
here's-
Browns.
Here's his problem. He's only 6'1". He's not very tall, which isn't great for a
A lot
quarterback.
of his passes get back down.
Yes, the offensive line is very, very porous. He actually was 20 of 31 against the Patriots. He was 27 of 41 against the Broncos. He's been playing fine. The Browns had injuries at corner all year long. They just got greedy, and Denzel Ward back last week. Christian Kirksey's been out the entire year. They're going to be fine. Ricky Seals-Jones is playing okay. Nick Chubb has been fumbling too much, but the Patriots got lucky in that game.
That was
the problem is Freddie Kitchens' play calling is horrendous, and I think he's a bad coach.
I do agree that Freddie Kitchens' play calling is extremely suspect.
It's really bad.
It's extremely suspect. And so I'm the kind of guy that once you're a lot like the president, once you're designated, I gotta rock with you no matter what. You know. So
What is it going to be like for you? Because you call Vegas your hometown. How cool is it going to be for you when the Raiders come to town and assuming that Cleveland will play a game here, which they will eventually? That's going to be. Are you going to be on the field for that?
I'm a big football fan. I'm not just a big Browns fan. I'm a big football fan. So whenever the Browns are not playing, I will be at the stadium. I will not be wearing black and silver. My son, who is 2 years old, will only know brown and orange. Okay,
I like
he
that.
lives here and he will only know brown and orange.
So you're not a bandwagon fan. I appreciate
I'm
that.
not a
about you.
bandwagon
Okay, so
fan.
what would you make about these Clippers fans in LA? So I'm watching the game last night, right? And all these Clippers fans, all these we're not talking about Billy Crystal, the ones that have been there for years,
Yeah.
right? When they struggled like the Lamar Odom days and way back when. But there's so many of these Clipper bandwagon fans now. I mean, I don't have respect for fans like that.
I've never had respect for bandwagon people. I think whoever you're with, rock with them till the end.
Yeah.
Everybody's got something to pull onto. Wants to have something to pull onto at least. And I think that there's a lot of people that, because they don't like LeBron or because everybody else is a Lakers fan, they want to jump on the board with the Clippers. So the good part about it is that the Clippers are doing good. So you got two big organizations right there in LA doing good.
You ever met LeBron?
Just one time, yeah.
What was that conversation like?
It was smooth, man. We have a mutual friend. So when I seen him, he called me by my nickname. Everybody calls me SP.
Oh, SP.
He said,
all
SP,
right.
what's up, baby? And I was like, oh, he knows my name. You know?
How cool is that though? Because what I appreciate about you, you're a sports fan, right?
Yeah.
You love football, but you love basketball. You love all these sports, right?
Look, it's crazy. I was when I was in LA, Tampa Bay Buccaneers played Sunday. We fought Saturday. Tampa Bay Buccaneers fought Sunday. On Sunday, going down the elevator with my fiance, Mike Evans gets on the elevator, and I'm like, I don't want to say anything. He looks over at me, says, "Yo, that was a good fight last night." I said, "You watched the fight?" He said, "Yeah, man, that was a great
that's
fight."
so cool, isn't it?
That is awesome.
That's so awesome.
I was like, "Oh man," he said, "Big fan." I'm like, "Stop it, man! I'm a big fan of yours." You know, so yeah, that's been the best.
Well,
one of the best parts.
let's talk positive state of Ohio football here. College football. Are you an Ohio State fan?
I'm not crazy about college football, but of course I do keep up with Ohio State.
We have a caller who wanted to ask him that very question. Number 257-5396. Let's go to Al. Al, you're on with SP. What's going on, Al?
What's up, Al?
How you doing, guys?
Good.
Hi, Champ. That was going to be my question if you had a collegiate team. I'm from New Orleans, an LSU guy, and it looks like if things go well this week, we could be headed towards a playoff maybe with Ohio State.
Nice. That sounds good to me. No, I don't keep up with college football. I love the NFL, so I'm always watching those guys like when they're coming out, combine, all that kind of stuff, and just watching out who's going to be next, you know.
Do you, as a professional fighter, you've been doing this for a long time, do you notice who's singing ringside? For example, if there's a huge celebrity.
Heck yeah, I know.
So you know exactly who's there.
Yeah.
All these fighters do too, right? They know who's watching.
I'm pretty sure they do. I mean, the first time it happened to me, I was in Atlantic City. I might have been 16-0.
AC.
Maybe 16-0, something like that. I get in the ring, and, you know, I'm doing my normal thing when I get in the ring, and I look up. And I look out and I see Shane Mosley is
Sugar.
And so I'm like, oh my God, Shane's here to see me.
That's
you know,
cool.
And that was
and
big.
this is when you were very young.
Yeah, and that was big. This fight, I get in the ring, I'm walking around, and I see that Mayweather is sitting right there with Leonard Ellaby. And
how cool is that?
And oh, my first time, I'm so competitive. My thought goes, oh yeah, you about to watch this. That's the only thing I could think was you about to watch this. And
does that make you does that help your focus or make you a little more nervous?
No, it does make me nervous. I think if anything, it may help the focus for me at least, you know, because it really makes me turn everything on, you know, when you know everybody's out there watching.
Who is the most famous because of what you do and how well known you are? Who was the most famous person that you met? You just mentioned LeBron. That's pretty high. But have you ever met anyone where you kind of like were a little bit nervous to meet them and they knew who you were?
I'm nervous to meet everybody. I was nervous to meet LeBron. I was nervous to meet Mike Evans. I met Steve. I wasn't even fighting. I met Steve Harvey at a fight. I was nervous to meet him.
Wow.
The coolest thing that happened to me at my fight, I invited this gentleman to come to the fight. Text him, never heard from him. Day of the fight, I get a call. Hey, he out here. What you want me to do? I'm like, buy him a ticket. I'll give you the money. I'm in the back room getting ready. I go to the bathroom. When I come out of the bathroom, Bobby Brown is sitting right there in the locker room. Yeah. So
how does that work? Like, do you have a conversation with him?
I had someone, a mutual friend who's in that industry, told me that I could come watch him play. He was here at the Orleans. And I went down to watch him.
You didn't just start singing a Whitney Houston song or anything like that?
No. But I sing Bobby Brown like almost daily.
You start singing "I Will Always Love You."
No. So I met him and I invited him to come to the fight.
How
and
cool is that?
X amount of months later, I never hear anything from him. He never texts back. I'm like, forget you too, then, you know. And then I come out and he's right there in my locker room.
So like when you're like a 14, 15-year-old kid, if somebody said to you, the most recognizable basketball player, arguably of all time, would not only know who you are, but call you by your nickname and be a fan of yours, would you have believed it?
No. I still don't believe what's going on in my world, man. I can't believe that I perform the way I perform, to do the things that I do, and it's just really one of those things that makes me really recognize that there's a God, and he is definitely blessing me.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of performing, you're very close friends with Terence Crawford.
Yeah. I'm glad you went back to
that.
Yes,
if he agrees to this fight and if the money is right, would you fight him?
If he agrees, if something happens and he's like, hey man, I want to fight you, we'll make it happen.
Please do it in Vegas, Shawn. Please.
That'll be one of the stipulations then.
Please do it in Vegas. Because we got to talk about it, and I want to go to the fight. I cannot.
Do you know how good of a fight that would be?
That'd be
an amazing
fight. An unbelievable fight.
Great tactical
and
fight.
based on your performance last month, I mean, you know, there'd be a lot of interest in that fight too. So I agree. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So the Browns. Let's go back there real quickly before I let you go. Tell me a little bit. Where do you think they end the season, and you know, where are they going here?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. Consistency is what I look at whenever it comes to anything. They have been consistently bad with penalties, bad with play calling, bad with dropping the ball. I mean, we see Odell Beckham Jr. He drops the ball.
Yeah.
You know, if the ball gets to him. If
Odell
it's not
Beckham cares more about hanging out with
So
Bieber than he does maybe catching footballs.
There's a lot that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
In a short amount of time to do it.
I agree.
I would love to see them win out. I really don't see that being realistic. We put a whooping on the Ravens week 5, and I don't know if we're going to beat them the next time we play them.
Throwing in a quick little tidbit there, by the way. There's a guy coming back that can be a difference maker for your team, and that, of course, is Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, man.
Tremendous career at Kansas City. We all understand what we went through there with all the off-the-field stuff, but he's a guy that could be a big factor for you guys.
You know, Rich Gannon was the one calling the game yesterday, and he said, near the end of the game, he said, now it's not about play calling, it's about playmakers.
Yes.
You got to go to your playmakers. I think that might be our biggest problem is we don't go to our playmakers enough.
You know what the funny thing is? Because I'm such a degenerate gambler. gambler. I bet on all sports, boxing, and I did bet on Canelo for the knockout. But I was thinking to myself, are there any other athletes on the planet, definitely not in boxing, that I root for, and I don't have to bet on them to root for? You're one of the few. So I know you must be very honored.
Yeah.
I don't have to have a wager on you.
That's actually very true.
I just watch the fight,
That's
and
awesome.
I want you, because seriously, I'm not saying this to kiss your ass. It's the truth.
Yeah.
You are one of the nicest guys
Yeah.
and one of the most genuine people in any
You know
sport.
why, Shap? You know why, right? It's because he's a Midwest guy, just
I'm
like
from
me and
Cleveland,
JD.
baby.
These Midwestern guys.
Then we
we're
finally
nice
agree on
guys.
something.
Yeah.
All right. I ain't even got to say it. He know what it is.
You know the deal,
Yeah.
Shap. That's
It's
why.
true though. There's a lot of people, professional. It's like you don't have an ego. You're very confident in your abilities.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between that and having this ego and talking down about others.
Yeah.
And Spence did that to
Yeah.
you a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the event. The last fight that I went to. You two guys. I think it was a Showtime fight, and you were there, and you were promoting your fight. And I just saw on TV the way he was talking to you, and I'm like, God, I just want you to knock him out right there.
Was it Mayweather? Excuse me. Was it Pacquiao and Thurman?
It was the Pacquiao fight, and I was right there, and I was watching you guys do that. But you're just a class act.
Or even seeing the parallels between Shawn and someone like Adrian Broner, who treated Al Bernstein like a second-class citizen.
He called Al Bernstein the N-word.
He did.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Well, Shawn, always appreciate it, my man, when you come in the studio and take the time to join us. It means a lot to me.
I feel inclined to say this. Well, thank you, but I also feel inclined to say that I have a show that airs on FS1. Inside PBC Boxing airs twice a month, and we're coming back this month. I think we air this weekend. That'll be the first episode back since September. So
let's have you on again and promote that.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to. Shawn,
sure.
Thank you so much for being here, man.
Hey, text
really
me some more,
appreciate it.
man. You don't text me enough.
I will. All right, Showtime.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shawn.
SP. Never
God
be
bless
Showtime.
you guys, man.
All right,
Thank
you so much. All right, we're going to take a 21-hour break. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow, folks. Dina Titus will be joining us tomorrow. That'll be fun. And Stretch Sanders as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Sean Hannity is coming up next.
So there's this guy named Jordan, and he's a healthy guy. He's a dad of 6, and he works as a guide in Alaska, but then he goes to the doctor, and he's diagnosed with cancer, stage 4. And here's the thing. He had switched from medical insurance to MediShare, which is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry. So the question for Jordan and his wife Jenny was, is this really going to work?
Our medical bills exceeded $160,000. MediShare members shared all our bills.
And it was about more than just the money, too. This is a real community.
MediShare is a family, a group of people that stick with you through the hardest times of your life. I just don't know how I could have done it without MediShare.
It's so worth looking into. There's a reason this is growing so fast. If you want to find out more, here's a number for you. 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
First year. So cool. Started last year in December.
You're from America?
Yeah.
Are you Muslim from America, Russia?
No. I got access to them. You want to get them on here? Okay.